Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Dahil mihi Anglican Paris verbis Latinos.
There's a lawsuit.
I'm not sure if you guys can see this very well, but something's different about the live stream this afternoon. Something's maybe a little bit different about me. Courtesy of Maisla. Ran to the post office and had a package from Maisla and from Jay. Maisla included a couple jars or containers of root beer concentrate because she knew that the family loves to make homemade root beer. And kids love that. And then she also included something for me. It says you have to wear this at least once on the live stream. I have a man bun. I have a man bun, courtesy of Maisla. Thank you so much for, thank you so much for that. It's awesome. Thank you also to Portland Trailblazers TV, who's first in chat here this afternoon on our afternoon live stream. I'm not sure if I like the man bun or not. I have to admit it was a struggle, mostly because I don't have as much hair as I used to have. Up on the top of my head, there was not as much to attach to as maybe there was, say, when I was a younger man. So we had to sort of use the headband of the earphones to help me wear the man bun today. But thank you, Maisla. It was a quick trip to the post office. My daughter is super excited about this because she is all about doing her hair, and so she is super excited to use this to shape her actual bun on her head with her ponytail, and it will probably look a lot better than me wearing it. Yeah. So I see the man buns emojis are going to be flying all day here. Yes, it's funny, Maisla. If you're here, thank you very much. I think you're in chat here somewhere. We'll dig through and see if we can thank you properly. But I appreciate that. It's going to be awesome. We will do the root beer as well. It's going to be fun. We'll need some dry ice. We do it with dry ice. I'm not sure if you guys do the root beer with dry ice, but we do sugar, root beer extract, and dry ice, and it is so good. Let's see. Also at the post office, I entered a contest. And I won. I am the winner. I won. Jay from the Shaming of Jay on Twitter did a contest, and where he gave out some mugs. And so I've got this awesome The Shaming of Jay court jester mug that he sent me. Just fantastic. Thank you so much, Jay. He was in chat earlier. He was in this morning, just dropping in saying, hey, this is a hard case for me, but just wanted to say hello and support. The Shaming of Jay on Twitter is a great channel. He also has a live stream on YouTube. I'm sure it's sometime in the near future our paths will cross on the live stream. We'll probably do something together as well. He's covering a different case than we are. But wonderful, Jay. Thank you so much. Appreciate the mug. I'm proud to represent your brand. Let's see if I can get it to focus. I can't because I've got manual focus turned on. All right. But thank you. I'm going to put this on the shelf. We will use it at one point. I've got one full of water already, so I better not fill up another because we know how that ends. But thank you very much, Jay. All right, man buns are going to stay on for a little while. I can't promise for the whole live stream, but for a little while. As we get started here, getting ready to come back to court, we do not have a live feed yet from the court. We are expecting a few more, like 5 more witnesses today, probably mostly law enforcement witnesses. Let me share this over. Amber sent an update so I could share this with you guys. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. The cookies, I think we're doing.
I was kickback, taking it easy.
It's embarrassing to have the hiccups on a live stream. How do you get rid of the hiccups? Other than like feeling nervous about 1,000 people watching you hiccup. Oh, that did it. Okay, we're good. They're gone. Let's see. See if we can get Portland Trailblazers. Did I properly thank you for being first in chat and for winning the internet? First in chat wins the internet today. You have won before, which makes you a repeat offender, or sorry, excuse me, a repeat winner. So you're going to do great with this. We're going to go ahead and package up the internet, box it up, and email it to you. Everything IP related is your responsibility worldwide for the duration of the day until we go live again tomorrow morning. That's how the contest works. Thank you, my friend, for being willing to take on all that responsibility with zero pay. Okay. I want to see if we could run to the store for you, says Red Pen. For who? Who needs? Does Ivan need a store run? Does this principal still have her job? She does. The last witness was the principal that hired the defendant after calling the references, which were the defendant, and not reaching some and reaching the defendant on others. They still hired her, even though she has a fake doctorate and just herself as a reference. So that's exciting. Let's see. Let's see if we have any questions before we get started here. Okay, here's the document. Let me get this over here on the screen where I can see it. I need to see this one. Let's make this full size. Okay, let me switch.
Katerina Scarcella just sent a super sticker with 3.99.
Katerina, thank you so much for the super sticker. Let's take a look at that. Oh, love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let me show you something else that we're looking at right now. We've been asking a lot of questions about the witnesses. We do have more court today. We're getting to that in just a minute. It has not started yet. The store licensing exam every 2 years this morning passed. Get to earn a living for another 24 months. Congratulations, Ivan. Let's see. Let me take this right here. This is the People versus Letecia Stauch with the case number. This is the list of witnesses, and Amber has been adding updates to this list. Lay witnesses are people who are non-professionals, not police officers, things like that, just average everyday people. The principal, that she would be a lay witness that we just heard from. We've got it's a little hard to see, but we've got different highlighting for the opening day statements. You can see we've got 149 people on this list. That's a lot of people. You got, let's see, the ones that stand out closely when you start looking at the last name are going to be like Harley Hunt. That's the older sister of Gannon right there. We've got Lena Stauch, the younger sister, is on here as well. Al, we heard from first. We've heard from Malcolm. As far as law enforcement, there are a couple people. Kevin Clark, we just heard from. Detective Nicholas Bricklick. I don't know how to say that name. We've got a couple. Deputy Patrick Youngkin that we've heard from, as well as Jason Yoder. We've got 10 people on this list that we've heard from already. We still have some experts to come, and that's and this is all on the state side. But so Amber's going to be tracking this for us, and I think this may be available in some format at some point on the Discord page as well. So if you want to follow this and get an idea of who's coming and who's left, we don't really know the order they're going to call them in unless they tell us, like they did right before lunch break. They said, hey, we've got maybe 5 witnesses. We know that on Monday, the autopsy witness is going to be flying in, the person who did the autopsy. So first thing Monday morning is going to start very heavy with a lot of autopsy information and images. So just be mindful of that for Monday. But that's good. So we've got that. To reference and come back to. Let me switch back over to where we were. There's our other feed. So court right now looks like this. Sorry, why is it? That's better. Okay, court looks like this right here, where we are just waiting for the feed to come back. It should be probably about 6 minutes before they're back. Let's see. Nana Geek Joellen says, please say hi. I think you forgot me this morning. How could I forget you, Nana Geek? Welcome, Joellen. Valerie, it does get more and more interesting. I cannot wear this man bun much longer. Maisla, did you get your screenshot already? Let's see. Can we get a dedicated man bun feed? That's sort of what this view is right here, if I just lean over a little. It could work. It does cover my bald spot nicely, so it's not completely useless. But yeah, that's funny. All right. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate you being here. Would not be the same without you. Appreciate you being here in chat. Mrs. Brownstone, you missed being first in chat by just a couple minutes. Fun fact: we actually count first in chat from when chat opens, which is usually like in midday. It's about 5 minutes after the last chat closed, because I open that and it's waiting before we come back. Reminder tonight, 8 p.m. this channel. We're probably going to wrap up at 7 because of how late court goes, and then at 8 p.m. tonight we're going to have the podcast with Thomas and me. Tonight on this channel. So if you'd like to see me in a little different light than the true crime setting, that would be a fun place to do it. And Thomas is a fantastic podcast partner. We're going to have some fun. We'll have some things to talk about. Maybe interact with you guys just a wee bit as we discuss some fun things. So Letecia didn't have a PhD. That's what I gather. It seems she may have been stretching the truth a little bit, no record of a PhD. Have you had any lemonade in a glass tumbler? I said, Amy, not yet. It's been too cold, but I guess right now it's like 90 degrees, so today would be a good day for that. Thank you very much for the glass tumblers. They looked awesome. And yes, lemonade is the perfect drink for them. Ashley, good to have you here. Sherry Sims Rue, welcome. With the haircut picture. Cut it off, she says. Repetitive drinking methodically will reset the rhythm. All right. I learn something new every day. Hiccup, hold your breath, and swallow 3 times. Just being nervous about you guys mocking me for having the hiccups is enough. And they went away. So I'm good. I don't have to drink the pickle juice or plug my ears and drink a cup of water upside down or anything else that's almost impossible to do. Can you summarize the principal witness? Yes, Franco, I can. The principal, the lady who testified, was in charge or part of a 3-person team responsible for hiring new hires at her school. They were looking for a special education teacher, somebody who would work specifically with students that have a special plan. People students that for one reason or another, whether it's behavior or whether it's a learning condition that would require them to have a little special learning plan for themselves, this teacher would work with them. And so she applied for this job. She went through the process. I guess she interviewed and hired on after, supplying some fake credentials as far as her doctorate goes, some fake references, meaning they were herself using burner phones or a kid's phone or something like that. So yeah, just some crazy stuff. Got the job anyway. Got the job. It was 3 people who made the decision, but at least, she got the job. And then from day one, she started asking a lot of questions about, what do you want me to do? Do I have to bring anything? And pretty much almost right off the bat, she's like, hey, I can't can't show up to work because my father-in-law was hit by a vehicle, and no, she said, my father-in-law died, and then the principal's like, okay, so are you coming into work? She's like, how could you even ask me that? I thought you would just assume. And the principal's like, I can't assume anything. I'm trying to run a school here. I need to know if you're coming into work or not. So she's not coming into work because she has a murder to clean up. I mean, she has a death in the family. I guess that part is true. Anyway, so that was the principal witness there. That was what we just finished. The one who said it'd be called multiple times, so maybe
this investigation was bad. The fact that she was able to move his body without detection is pitiful, Imo.
It's heartbreaking to think of how, we look back at it with hindsight, right? Sorry, my picture's not on the screen. I'm trying to talk to the screen. You can't see the man bun, can you? It's heartbreaking to think that the police were so close to his body and could have at that time, it could have spared so much pain, so much effort and just heartache on so many fronts. If they had just opened the back of the car or looked in the suitcase or, done a little digging further. But you have to realize that at the time, the reason they were there at the house was not to look for a body. They were looking for a kid who had run away from home. And they poked around a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, no kids here." They're not going to tear apart walls and dig into closets and things like that. They're just doing a cursory search, just quickly overlooking. It's like, "Yep, he's not here. He's not in the house. He must be gone." Michelle Collins, thank you so much for the generous super chat. Wonderful to have you here. If there's any sort of question I can answer for you as well, please let me know. I will try to do that. Let's see. Landon is on there, so she could be called. Yes, his mom could, but that'll be heartbreaking. That'll just be devastating. Where else? Autopsy day is going to be very hard. This is going to be Monday. Hope Monday is going to just be very difficult. Okay. I'll never understand how she wasn't arrested after all those initial lies. If lied to police like that, they'd have to lock me up 6 ways to Sunday, no questions asked. They had to get her for a crime, first of all. And it's possible that they put her under observation fairly early on, so that they could make sure nothing bad happened or she got away, but they needed more information to actually have the crime stick, because you can't just arrest somebody because
Ali
something
Cat
doesn't smell
just
right.
sent a super sticker with 1.99.
Alley Cat, thank you so much. Appreciate the super sticker. We're about to let's see. B2B just sent a request for the Facebook page. You should get a response pretty quickly. We're pretty quick on that. The mods over there.
All right, court will call 20 CR 1358 People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury is not present in the courtroom. Is there anything we need to take up outside the presence of the jury at this point in time? Prosecution?
No, Judge.
Defense? Okay.
There's no warning. The judge just starts.
We'll go ahead and bring the jury in. I got to tell Todd just a minute.
So he's fairly prompt. Monday's a work day, yes. I thought she was under investigation by the time she moved the body, at least the second time. Yes, they had some tracking, but it wasn't like full-time police on it. It was sort of passive. Did I miss it? What was for lunch? Not much. I ran to the post office for lunch, and I got this man bun, which I'm about to take off.
The jury.
Any chance of zooming into the questioner? Something would have to go. I can only do two floating images on the screen at a time.
Alex stole it as well.
Let's see.
Cameras up too.
Yeah.
Cameras are up. Yep, we're good. Gonna rewind to watch the beginning. Today was pretty good testimony, I think. Good stuff. Say no to the man bun. I'm about to say no. There we go. Zoomed out. There's the jury off to the side.
That guy's supposed to be here.
Luckily that witness was standing where she was, or that I don't know who it was who was standing where they were, or else maybe it was a court clerk, or else they would have just shown the jury again. This is a flaw in the court's camera system.
Okay. All rise for the jury, please.
There's our defendant's cam. We've got that pulled up now. You missed the morning roll call, Diana. Well, you're here now. We'll mark you present. What's the dress code for the podcast tonight? It's Friday, Lisa, so you know what that means. It's pretty casual. We are going to hear another call or a recording of some kind soon. It may be interview recording. Nanny, your vote does not count.
You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1385 People versus Letecia Stauch. 1358 People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Mr. Allen, call your next witness, please.
Thank you, Judge. Actually, our next exhibit is People's Exhibit 211, which defendants is stipulating to admissibility of 211. And then we were asking for permission to publish People's Exhibit 211 to the jury. For record purposes, this is body-worn camera audio of Deputy Parker that was collected on the evening of January 27, 2020, when he, along with Deputy Yunkin, who we heard from yesterday, responded to 6627 Mandan Drive in response to the missing child report that the defendant made.
Defense, do you stipulate as to the foundational elements that have just been recited by the prosecution? Yes. Okay. All right. Exhibit 211 will be admitted.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
We do have a man bun emoji, a special one just for the channel that members can use as well.
After about 4 o'clock.
It's this one. You have your notepad? Yeah. You have your big notepad?
Big one?
Yeah.
The audio is very poor.
Recording. Mounted. Wi-Fi connected.
This is body camera video that we're hearing the audio from.
Hi, hey, can we come in? Sorry, my shoes are a little muddy.
You guys are busy tonight, huh?
Yes, unfortunately. Sorry, we took us long. I mean, we go by priority, and I mean,
Well, the neighbors have been awesome, so
Yeah.
they helped out.
and they could probably do more than we.
Yeah,
I mean, we
that's what
we got two bodies, so
Exactly. That's what I was telling my husband anyway, because he was upset, and I was like, honestly, the neighbors have already pretty much done a lot of the work.
yeah, there's a ton of them out there. So
Yeah. We keep getting posts and pictures, and we did find someone did send us a video picture or something, and he was holding his Switch case.
His what?
Like his Switch, like a Nintendo Switch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not like a Switch.
I was like, I don't know.
So they've all been trying to be very helpful and the whole situation, because so he was supposed to be here at 6:00 because we were going to eat dinner, and he said he was off restriction today, so he was going to go play with his friend, and his dad had already told him he could play with his friend, and he didn't come back at 6, so I looked outside and saw it was sleeting, so I said, well, maybe he's waiting on one of us to come get him, so we drive to the neighbor's house, which I'm assuming he's at the neighbor's on the corner's house, and they're like, no, he's not here. So I was like, okay, maybe it's only one other person. So they kept leading us on all this chase of people who it could be. We covered a lot of houses, and at this point the neighbors all stepped in and kind of went to the houses ourselves, and because they told me to wait here, and she went to a bunch.
Okay.
But sorry, I've been freaked out the whole time. To add to it, I'm almost positive he is with someone that he knows, because he searched on his phone, can my parents find me if my if my phone is off? He also, and I'll let you look at this, sent my husband some crazy stuff that was so he sent my husband a message that says, do we have any bath salt? And then my husband said, for what? Asked me. And then, because my husband didn't think, what he was talking about. And it says, my friend said if I get some, we could play, and he has a Sonic there this weekend. Because he's big into Nintendo Sonic.
Yeah, right.
And then my husband said no. So then he said, can we play today if my tummy stops hurting? And so my husband said he'd call him. Then he said his brother has a car for a sleepover this Friday. So that's why we were trying to find some of the kids that we knew, we didn't know, other people that had older siblings. So that's how the whole thing got started with this Jimmy kid. We feel bad, but we didn't start that. So everybody goes pounding on this Jimmy kid's house and looking for people at Gafflin. And the kid was asleep, and he didn't have an older sibling. So it kind of got, how social media gets blown all out of proportion and things like that. So yeah, so that's pretty much what we got. And then and we did, my husband was like, go through his book bag and stuff like that. And we found a cigar in there. It was I guess a cigar.
Has any used the marijuana that you know about?
No, he's never even been like this. He did start coming to
brothers are hanging around and smoking pot.
The thing is, he is at Grand Mountain, and they're mixed with the. He's 5th grade, 11 years old, and they also have the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade there now. Now, I know the school does a really good job, because I work for the school district, to separate the kids in the different, the 4th, 5th graders, 6th grade, but that doesn't mean they still don't meet each other in Larson Ranch, and that's the thing, because he does go take his bike up to Stingray Park, and is that the name of that little park? Whatever the park is up there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And things like that. So it's kind of pretty much that's what we got.
Okay. Did you give our dispatcher the social?
My husband has the social. I'm gonna have like a blurry version. I don't know if I can read it. But he was like freaking out, saying, I can't go find social. I'm upset. He is. Me. So I was like,
Yeah, I apologize once again that
Yeah.
we got pulled. I mean, there was something pretty urgent on the.
yeah,
that
definitely.
came.
You want to get people that are. He said he lost the socials.
So y'all have hit all the friends' houses, or at least some of the people that are out.
That we know. Is the social on his military ID?
It might be if you consider him.
Was there anything missing?
No, there was nothing missing. He just had his game, which he's a huge, like crazy Mario, Sonic.
Mhm.
You know, he had that with him, and that's it. I mean, that's all we see missing because my husband immediately said, "Go look for the guns."
Mhm.
And like I immediately went in there and I couldn't find one, so I was panicking. But you know how you're looking for something, and
Yeah.
and so I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. And then I realized, you know, like, okay, it was hid behind some clothes, you know, whatever. So all the guns are accounted for.
I mean, clothing wise.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't see anything.
Toiletries.
Nope.
Does he have like a wallet that he carries around with like
The,
school ID?
the phone with the wallet.
Okay, like one of the attached case, like the.
Yeah, you know, an actual wallet.
Oh, okay.
His phone was with the wallet and he had left it in his room.
And is the phone turned off? Have y'all? Has anybody tried the phone?
Well, I have his phone. He left the phone here with the wallet.
Oh, okay.
That's how we went.
So how do you know? So he must have used somebody else's Facebook. Is that what you're thinking? That like he logged in somebody else's and asked that question if can my parents find me, or was that on?
No,
His search history.
it was in his search history prior to this happening. So
Okay.
he had already like searched this information. He had deleted a bunch of things too because it would have like one thing searched for one day specific, and it was like, okay, we know you're on YouTube. We know you're on this. You should be, you know, whatever. And there was a lot of messages deleted, like for example, his grandma or Nana, he had everything deleted. And but we've reached out to all them, and he hasn't been in contact with, you know, with any of them because they all live on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
So.
Has there been any family issues other than? I mean,
No.
just the strange thing was asking about the basketball.
What happened last night? So he was upset about last night because he grounded from his switch. Like I told you, it's all around the switch.
Yeah, there was a restriction. Yeah, you said that, but it was lifted.
So yeah, it was lifted today.
Uh-huh.
But last night he had, so we have two little small dogs, and he has really bad problems with his stomach because he takes Vyvanse every day. So when he doesn't, the weekends.
Is that like the medication that you list, the ADHD?
For ADHD, right?
Okay.
So the weekends we don't give it to him. So on the weekends when you don't give it to him, your stomach starts to kind of work. Anyway, needless to say, messes his stomach up. We went on a hike yesterday, and he like pooped in his pants like 3 times. And you're supposed to give it to him every day, but if we go on a hike, I try not to because he'll be zombie and you know, hiking and stuff like that. So he said, this is what he told me and his sister. She's already asleep now. She's only 8. But he told me and his sister that he thought somebody was coming downstairs. So he immediately like tried to hide it. He knocked the candle over and it set the carpet downstairs on fire. Now it was nothing big, like a 12 by 12 spot. So I honestly wasn't even going to tell my husband. We went in there, we were like going to cut it out and like just replace it later. Not
I get you.
You know, like, because if I called you and said, someone burned down the carpet, you're freaking out. You know?
You said fire, so I was thinking.
Exactly. So I just took the covers that he was, laying down, like and I just like threw it on there because I got my daughter out and the dog's out. She was working. And it was.
You can have everybody now.
I know. It was something that we were just like.
No.
Did he take his bike?
No.
Okay, because somebody saw a little kid on a bike. They posted it, but I didn't know if he brought it.
Well, he did, unless he took it sooner and brought it back because Lena ends up getting a bike. And rides the bike because hers had broke. When she ran into him, I say ran into him as in not physically, but she somehow got his bike because hers wouldn't work. So he could have at
So
one
they were
point.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go pick him up for dinner. Okay. And he never came home. They thought he was at his friend's house. He was like, he didn't start sleeping, so they were going to go pick him up down the road. And he was never there. And he never went to his friend's house.
He was on. Okay. And he was taking the switch.
Do you mind if my partner looks around the house real quick?
Yeah.
Because kids, they hide, and they
They
can hide for hours, and you'd be surprised.
Already checked the the ADT.
There's
there's kids here. I say kids here.
There's my sister and 2 dogs.
Okay. Grab her ID too when you
Yeah,
get done.
he was out there because they left and blah, blah, blah. Somewhere, where my wallet is at.
Blah, blah, blah.
So just tell me a timeline. I know you said that y'all were going to go eat at 6.
Yeah, so it
We
was.
were supposed to meet y'all back here, but you went down there because it started sleeting.
Right. So.
What happened between that and the time you got out of school?
Okay, so 3:15ish, 3:20ish, they usually come in every day and they have to like ride laps or something, like physical activities or something like that. But since his stomach was hurt and his daddy told him he could go ahead and get his switch time back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much it. They usually get snacks and we always required them like, hey, you have to go outside, like all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty active then, huh?
Yeah.
So he did that. He didn't do that because you said his stomach was hurting. What happened instead of him doing that?
Instead of doing what?
Doing that.
He had already talked to my husband about being off restriction. So he said he was going to his friend's house to play video games.
And what time he left at 3:30?
I don't know the exact time because I was correcting his carpet thing downstairs.
Okay, so he left at that time.
My husband's very more free than I am with the situation. Like I kind of always like, whose house you going to? Give me their number. That's how it was with her. But he's like, as long as their neighbor ride, they can ride bikes. Everyone's together type thing. Oh. So so all the time they go and ride and meet friends. That's how we knew to go to different people's house because sometimes.
What time did you notice that he left to go? What time? Between the 3:15 and when did you notice he left?
I came back up here at maybe 4:00 and
he was already gone.
Right, but then Lena came back in the house, which is the sister, and she said that she had to get his bike because her bike wasn't working, so he gave her his bike or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he left before 4, between 3:15 and 4. Okay.
Does he normally leave out the front door? Or would he have normally left out the front door?
Or the garage. They're free to do both, or the back because he takes trash out.
But we have a lock on that now, so.
Well, the only reason I asked, it looked like there was a ring doorbell.
Yeah, we already. That's how I told you that we already knew that he had left. Yeah.
And what time was that? Just so we have it for done.
We don't have the video recording. We just have the thing on the ring.
Oh, okay.
We don't pay the fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can go ahead and grab your ID.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was looking all out.
Yeah, you're fine.
Is that bring my thing in here? Actually, might be in there. Can you get her? Let me get my wallet.
Cute.
Okay. I think it might be. You want my ID?
You can just give him your name and date of birth.
Goodbye. Yes. No, I didn't write the part.
Gannon was also a miracle baby. Just hurts my heart that much more. I just can't. Loudly crying face, loudly crying face, loudly crying face.
No.
Would he have left his phone? Do you know?
Sorry?
Would he normally left his phone here? Does he take it with him often anywhere?
It kind of so depends on what we tell him. If they were to say oh yeah, you can take your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take it.
Does he have service?
He does.
Is that his phone? Which one?
Yeah, this one's his phone.
Who's that?
His mom.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what she's on. Because she must be happy. It might be in that big pile of.
If she's looking for ID, just go grab her name and date of birth.
I think it might be. I'm just waiting on him because it might be in the
I
same
can
column.
get your name and date of birth. Yeah. But it's okay. We can just get your name and date of birth.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, it might be in the center console. All right, so Letecia, T-E-C-I-A. Stauch. T-E-C-I-A. Stauch. And S-T-A-U-C-H. And 8483.
Is it going to be out of Colorado, like your driver's license, or is it another state?
Another state,
What state is that?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's the accent, huh?
Yeah, that's the accent. It's the-
8483.
Yeah, like August 4th, 1983.
And then a middle initial or name for out of states.
Down here.
Is the other dog? Yeah, no, it says no.
What's your middle name?
I mean, no, it is down there. Huh.
Middle name?
It's my maiden name. They-are-D-I-N.
1971, 111 verbal out of South Carolina.
And the number you called, were you the one that called, or was it your husband?
No, I called 911 and then they said call like a non-line or something. And called a bunch of lines and then like a couple of, like their Nana called another line, so.
Okay. Get her telephone number too, though, because they might not have a good contact if there's several people that called.
Phone number?
All right, so 843-655-7460.
Do you have a picture of him on your phone?
Mom.
Can you?
The ones we all have are like mostly him and his sister together. I mean, can you crop that out or is it?
Yeah, if you want to, too. I mean, yeah, on your phone, you can send it.
So this is the one that everyone has been sending, is this one. Do you want me to send it to who?
Yeah, his phone.
Yeah.
This is the audio from a body camera.
And then go ahead and get that information for the information I sent you on there.
When the
after
police showed up
you get the picture.
to take a report about a missing child.
All right, what?
Stand by.
Listen.
Sure. I just got a new phone number, so
Okay.
I don't remember what it is. If you want to, while I do this, try and find the driver's license, or
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not finding you.
It's it's LE. If you're running me in, like instead of TECIA, it's LETECIA.
Okay.
Like Letecia.
1971. We try Lincoln Edward, Tom Edward, Charles, Ida Adam for the first name.
Has anybody been saying anything on the Facebook post or whatever that people are talking about?
Just that they're looking.
Okay. Nothing.
I accidentally let it lock. I'm sorry. You ready?
I'm sending you that picture, right? Okay. For weeks.
All right.
Just give him the OLN.
Negative. I have a OLN for you. 719663.
719.
31. It's going to be 1012753.
I'm not sure what the numbers are they're giving out here, but we'll skip some of them so we don't dox someone accidentally.
So y'all contacted all the friends that y'all know about at this point. Parents, any of them saying anything that you know about that they said they haven't seen him today as well? Nothing like that. Okay. Nothing other than him taking his Switch, his game thing. Nothing else missing. He didn't ride his bike. You just told her, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing other than that. There are no suspicious circumstances. I mean, other than some weird text that I guess he was sending Dad about bath salts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's got some other information, just some medical stuff that we would like to have. And And he's already listed as runaway. So if
Okay.
if he's riding around with a brother in car, he gets contacted. What are you doing out this late? What's your name? He comes up that he's a runaway, and so they'll give you a call.
Copy.
Just, you want to get that stuff, and then
He wasn't in here with the sweet. That stuff is down there, sir. Can I show him about the smoke stuff? I just didn't want him to step on the cutter, the box thing.
Yeah.
I think I still had down there. Okay, because you weren't in here. You weren't in here in the beginning, right? I didn't know if I had that box put in there because I told him about he dropped it in last night.
Okay.
And I thought I must have picked it up. I was just making sure I didn't want you to be like, oh, there's the box cutters. But yeah, I had to cut this. And I told them I wasn't even going to tell Dad. And I was going to figure out a way to put this in there from the situation. But
at least you got a cart. Yeah, you got.
right. I just took it and like covered up with the carpet and stuff like that. But it's not even any friends around here. There is let me look on this thing. He did have this one like book thing.
It's where you're supposed to be at down the road.
They checked that already?
They went over there and talked to him, and they're like, no, we hadn't seen him at all.
He did have this like
And you talked to parents, right? You didn't talk to.
Yeah, Connor's mom came over, who is a friend he hangs out with all the time. So they come over. The people here, the friends, they were just the ones that were at the door with the bike. Okay. They came over. A bunch of people came over. Yeah. So.
Any friends?
He did have like a little book that had names on it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't see it like anywhere specifically because like his wallet. He's not like a. I teach 5th grade, and like you got your like really really mature kind of boys, but then waiting, he forgets to like bring this or bring that or bring this or bring that.
Still a kid.
Yeah.
No clothes are missing.
No, we actually lay out all the clothes all the time, like for, like every day at school we lay out clothes, we do whatever.
Is his jacket gone?
He had he has several jackets. Like it depends on. I'm very like fashion, so it just depends on jackets. Like. You might have this black one with this, or there's a blue one with this.
So you had a jacket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Several jackets. Like, you see the kid has, like tons and tons of clothes, and he just,
Okay.
he has all that stuff. So. And he took like none of this. Like these are his favorites. All of these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He's gonna grab some more questions and.
Okay.
How long have you guys lived here?
Maybe like a year and something now. Yeah.
And you have talked to all of his friends' parents in the area?
I'm not the person that talks to things. I don't have numbers. I don't say yes. I don't say no. My husband tells me yes or no. So he has all the numbers.
There could be some friends that you don't.
Right. Because I don't know the people like that. And a lot of the time that I was here, I had a job on the East Coast. So I had to fly back and forth for a lot. So I didn't really meet a lot of people, like my husband did. Mm-hmm. And he's like, always want to be the one to talk to everybody about it. And so.
Well, how about your husband? He's talk to these people?
Yeah, he's been on the phone with a bunch of them. He's in Oklahoma, Fort Steele right now.
Is there anybody he hasn't been able to get a hold of?
No, he said he's talked to everyone that he knows of. The only concern we had is he was talking about the friend with the older sibling, and we don't know who that one is. Mm-hmm. That's the one we don't know.
You guys have a name for that?
Because we don't know who that person is. We've never heard him say like specific name. And my husband said when he talked to him today that there was no like specific name for that. He didn't give him a name. He just told him no. So.
And he took his game console bill.
Yeah, they have a couple of different consoles.
One of them's gone.
Switch Lite. They have a 2DS, a 3DS. One of them's gone. It was in like a bluish black. Wait, no, that one might be in red. I don't remember. I just know in the video you can see that, or the picture that the lady had, you can see like he's got something right here and it's like not far down.
Which picture is this?
So some lady online had noticed it, like messaged us and had noticed that was him or the description. And she was like, was that him? And I was like, yes.
Where was that picture taken?
Let don't know. I honestly have about 150 Facebook messages that I haven't answered people on because you guys showed.
Was it local? I mean, was it in this Lorson Ranch?
Lorson Ranch. Someone put it on the Lorson Ranch page.
And so a lot of people just kept sending messages, information. First, someone said they saw him get in a white SUV. Then someone said they caught it on their camera. They were all supposed to be sending this to me. But as I was talking to all these people on Facebook, because my husband gave the neighbor permission to post it, you guys came and I kept having alert slips and I weren't gonna Huh? Okay. No. Yeah.
Okay. I know you probably gave some of this information to dispatcher already, but can you give us a description of him from
Yes.
hair color, eye color, any artificial,
Yeah, so brown. Let's see, brown.
I don't know.
Like whitish color skin.
I guess into this house. They don't know. Somewhere around there.
Just keep this close because our heat.
The parents made that.
And then
Well, they said that
410.
there was a weird text that Dad got about something about bath salts, and hey, if you if I can get some bath salts, do we have any bath salts? And my friend will let me play Sonic or something at their house.
He sent that to him.
Yeah,
I got it.
and then Mom goes through everything, finds this is Parker.
Hey, bud.
Yes, sir. I'm not bad. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
No, we're still getting the runaway report right now.
Harley, did you get it? Who was it?
Okay, I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. I just didn't.
Right. I mean, there's not anything that's suspicious about it. I think that it just kind of went viral on social media, and so everybody's finding out about it now. He just didn't show him at 6, but he's also been in trouble and had a game console that he left with, so he's probably at somebody's house right now playing games.
That's why me and my husband absolutely think, and we think we absolutely think that, and we've calmed our stress level for a week.
Like a thick, heavy winter jacket, a shirt, windbreaker.
No, like the ones I was showing you guys in there. Kind of a little windbreaker type. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
So anything to
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm mid, so I'll be on it.
No, they asked me about tattoos and injuries and all that.
Like I'm gonna end up.
Okay, perfect.
A lot of the same questions that dispatch asked.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you hear anything from the school, let us know, please. All right. Oh, there's Don Roy Cat.
Yeah, we already talked to a bunch of people at school.
Yeah, he's the head of security, so he.
Game or something tonight.
So that was like one of the things we were thinking if, I guess, they went to like the basketball game or something.
He said there was partial right on, so.
Smith.
Yeah. What?
It was the off duty.
No,
Okay.
just if he said somebody in the neighborhood or something.
That list you go to.
If you guys want to call my husband.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll follow up because we know have a little bit more information. Yeah, then.
A lot of the, he does all that.
How long has he been over there stationed at?
Not stationed here, he's just at
Training.
At my career course.
Okay.
Yeah. So they go to a dentist. I think it's like Fountain Dentist, maybe.
All right, we can get on it.
It's on base.
We'll give him a call.
Yeah.
What's this now?
Al, A-L. Stauch, S-T-A-U-C-H.
Phone number?
843 478 6714. Yes.
Are we back on 3?
I'm on 3.
And they call it code.
I'm gonna see if I can bring in another video.
Okay. Some more information.
Over the top
I mean,
as
as
we're
far as
watching
like the
end of a
medical,
police
dental,
chase in California.
like he'll know
live
like all
as
that
well.
stuff because he takes them on base.
Cool. All right, well, we'll go give him a call in the car real quick and see if we can get any information that we don't already have. If not, we'll come back and, or we'll give you a case number for the runaway and everything. Okay? All right, thanks.
Down here, no.
I didn't see him.
Okay.
We have gas and.
Five? Yeah. Oh my god. And two.
I'm going to replace my image with a little bit of a police chase here.
Prosecution, call your next witness, please. All right.
There's a police chase happening in California. Let's see.
Sergeant, if you would
Murder
step forward
suspect.
and raise your right hand, please, sir.
He's ramming his way through traffic.
You swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
See if I can fix
Good
this.
afternoon, sir.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Will you please state your name for the record?
Yeah, it's Christopher Ganstein, Ganstine.
And while it may be apparent, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
And what is your role at the sheriff's office?
My current role is I'm a patrol supervisor.
Sergeant?
Yes.
And in January of 2020, what was your role then?
I held the rank of detective sergeant, and I was assigned to the Colorado Springs Metro Vice and Narcotics Unit.
And in terms of your role specifically as it relates to that case, this case here, what were you tasked with doing with the Metro VNI unit?
One of our many tasks that we do is we do covert surveillance, and we were asked to start a surveillance operation on the defendant.
And as part of that surveillance on January 30th of 2020, where was your team located?
We had started early in the morning at, I believe it was the 10,000 block of Intrepid Way, which was in the Lorson Ranch neighborhood.
And were you able to make visual contact with the person that you know to be Letecia Stauch?
I was.
Okay. And do you see that same person here today in court?
I do.
Can you identify her by where she's seated in the courtroom?
She's sitting next to an attorney wearing a blue suit, and she's wearing a purplish top.
All right. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the sergeant has identified the defendant?
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
Can you walk us through what you observed on January 30th with that surveillance?
Yeah, so we were told from the night before that the defendant and her daughter were more than likely staying at that address. When I got there, the vehicle that was in question that she was seen in the day before, I believe it was a white Jetta, was in the driveway. And so I had actually, since I got there first, I had set up shortly down the street with a clear view of the door and the vehicle. And I can't recall the exact time. I know we were there for a little bit that they'd come out, but I observed the defendant and Harley, her daughter, walk out of the house and get in the vehicle. Harley got into the driver's seat and the defendant got into the rear right passenger seat.
And as at that point, after viewing the defendant get into the passenger seat, did the Metro VNI team continue to conduct surveillance?
We started what we refer to as rolling surveillance. We're all in covert vehicles. And so we started from there, and we just were tasked with following her and seeing what she was doing.
And as you continue to follow her, any sort of observation that you made about movements or type of movements?
Yeah, it was weird because there was only two people in the car. She was sitting in the back seat. And for most of the time that they were driving, she would either be completely slouched down so you couldn't actually see her in the back seat, or her head would just be up far enough to where you could kind of see her looking out the window. But she wasn't sitting like a normal person would sit, and she wasn't sitting in the front seat either.
And based on your training experience and what you've done, especially with the Metro VNI unit, how would you describe that type of behavior?
That behavior is common when we're following fugitives or following people that are, I don't want to call it surveillance conscious. I guess the term would be people that feel that they may be subject to law enforcement surveillance and are trying to hide themselves from that.
Avoid detection?
Avoid detection would be a good term.
At that point, is there a particular area, and if you could explain why a particular area was chosen in town to make contact with the defendant?
We had followed her for about an hour-ish, going to various places. Eventually, she ended up at a parking lot at the intersection of Woodman and Academy. It was the Marshall's clothing store. She had parked, or Harley had parked in the parking lot, and then they had walked inside the store. Shortly after they had walked inside the store, I was notified by Sheriff's Office investigations that they had obtained a warrant for the vehicle that they were driving, and that they had also obtained an additional warrant for a cell phone that was either in the possession of Harley or her, that they had both been using. And they had asked that we basically come out from cover, from surveillance, and make contact and secure the vehicle, and then secure the phone.
Do you have a rough approximation of about what time that would have been that you were given essentially the green light to move forward?
I believe it was the early afternoon.
And did you create a report in conjunction with your work on this case?
I did.
And would reviewing that report refresh your recollection as to the time?
It would.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
You may.
$13:24, so 1:24 p.m.
Refreshes your recollection?
It does. Sorry.
Okay. So and not everybody thinks in military time, but what is 13:24?
That'd be 1:24 p.m.
Okay. At that time, can you explain for the jury what you did?
So I'd coordinated my team. I had put some detectives inside the Michaels to maintain surveillance on those two. And then I had created a multi-person team outside. And the plan was that when they had checked out, we would be notified outside that they had. Once they had walked outside, we were going to have two units that have emergency lights just pull up, and we were going to do what we refer to as like a soft contact, just, hey, it's the police, we got to get your phone and we got to do this because we got a warrant. And that was the plan, that they'd come out and do that. Our main concern was obviously the phone and destruction of evidence, or being able to get back in the car and flee.
So in relation to the type of approach you use and decided to use, was that important?
I'm sorry, I couldn't overhear with the cough.
In terms of the type of approach that you wanted to use, a soft approach, that was important for the purposes of evidence?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury what you were wearing, how you looked that day?
Yeah, so I was undercover, so I was wearing street clothes. However, we have what we refer to as raid vest or bus vest. So it's similar to this, except what I was wearing is all black. All of my stuff that I would normally have on a belt, kind of like what this is all on my vest, including my firearm. The main difference, it's black. The word sheriff is across the entire chest. It's bigger than what this is. And then I didn't have a cloth badge at that time. That one actually had my physical real metal badge on my thing. And then it was in January, so I would have been wearing jeans and a hoodie under it.
So dressed in all of those things that you're wearing on January 30th, what occurred when you went to approach the defendant?
So it didn't go as planned because Harley had stayed inside, and then the defendant had come out. Specifically, when the defendant came out, she was holding the keys to the car. And so that's a concern. We can't let her get into the vehicle. Where her vehicle was, I was parked directly next to her vehicle, in between her vehicle and the store. So I radioed to everybody that we would stick with Harley inside, and that I was going to get out and just contact the defendant myself and just let her know what was going on, that we had a warrant for the car and that I couldn't let her in and I need to get the keys. So I had gotten out of my car that time, and as she walked up to me, I'd approached her. Actually, I didn't really approach her. She'd gotten there about the same time, right in between the two cars.
While that approach is happening, can you describe the defendant's demeanor?
She was surprised. So she kind of froze, and I said, "My name is Sergeant Canster. I'm with the Sheriff's Office. We have a search warrant for the vehicle. I can't let you into it. I'm going to need the keys." And basically, it was, like I said, it was a soft approach, just like I'm talking now. She didn't acknowledge me. She didn't say anything. Where she was, she had maneuvered kind of closer to her driver's door, and then just started slowly walking backwards.
Were there any observations that you noticed about her gaze or where she was looking, anything like that?
Yeah, so the two biggest things I noticed is she was just stuttering, like one word, like key, warrant, like just repeating what I was saying. And then she kept walking further back, and I told her, I said, "Relax, you're not in trouble. I just need the keys to the car. I can't let you into it." She continued to walk back, and then I noticed she started to turn her head behind her, because when that was going on, so there's my vehicle, her vehicle, and I'm here, she's here, so she can't go past me. She can't go left or right. So all she can do is basically turn around. And so I noticed that she was periodically turning around as she continued to walk backwards.
As she walked backwards, what did she do after that?
She turned and ran in a full sprint away from me. She had the keys in her hand. I was like, okay. Got on the radio, and I was like, she's running. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I started running after her. As she was running away from me, she had taken the keys to the car and threw them across the parking lot. It took us a little bit of time to find them, but she had thrown them across the parking lot, and so she threw them one way and then kept running the other way from where she threw the keys.
Ultimately, after running after her, were you able to make contact?
Yes, to the two vehicles that had the lights that we were going to have come in, they rolled in. They got out. One drew his firearm and gave her commands, and she had stopped and got on the ground at that time. And then I didn't know what was going on, so I went up and handcuffed her at that time and detained her until we could find out what was going on and what had happened. And then she was given to two other people that had taken her back to a car.
Okay. But to be clear, at that time, she was not being arrested, correct?
No.
Okay. While you were present on scene with other law enforcement members, where was Harley Hunt?
She was, when that happened, she was walking out of the Michaels pretty like within a minute of that happening, and then me detaining the defendant.
Okay. And with specifically as it relates to the approval of the search warrant for a cellular telephone, was that able to be gathered that day?
Yes. Initially, Harley was reluctant to give the phone. And so one of the detectives, she had it in her hand. One of the detectives just yanked it right out of her hand, so she couldn't manipulate or do anything with it.
Was there any interaction that you observed between the defendant and her daughter, Harley Hunt, while you were present on scene?
Yes. The defendant was fairly hysterical. She was screaming. She was yelling obscenities, things like that. Once she realized that we were also in contact with Harley, she started screaming at Harley, saying, "Don't say anything. Tell him you want an attorney. Don't talk to him." Those type of statements. And we were trying to tell her we just need to get the phone.
And after obtaining the phone from Harley Hunt and securing Ms. Stauch, what did you do after that?
At that point, we had moved Harley because Harley started crying and she was fairly hysterical as well. But actually before that, I had talked to the defendant and I told her she needed to calm down. She's screaming. We're in a public parking lot. She's committing criminal acts and she doesn't need to get herself in trouble. So just to relax and calm down. And she did. Once I had that short conversation with her, she stopped yelling. And then we had moved Harley into the back of one of our patrol vehicles. We didn't close the door. We left the door open. And I just had a quick conversation with Harley to calm her down because she was crying and she was fairly hysterical.
Okay. And were you able to calm her down?
Yeah. I told her, hey, here's the deal. We needed to get the phone. I don't know what your mom just did, but we're fine now and we're going to let you guys go.
Okay.
So.
And to be clear, up until that point, the defendant was not arrested. She was not. She didn't have any criminal summons or anything like that you provided to her, correct?
No. Until we can secure the scene and find out exactly what the circumstances were behind the unusual reaction of me just trying to get car keys, given the scope of the investigation and its infancy, we didn't know if there was something more that we didn't know until we knew. So once we calmed everything down, got everyone calm, we released them because we've accomplished what we needed to do, which was to execute the 2 warrants.
And after obtaining the cellular telephone, is that telephone then made available or accessible in evidence for other law enforcement officers with access to?
It was given. We had multiple detectives from majors there from the sheriff's office, and it was given to them.
I wonder if Harley's going to be up next on the stand. Or I guess it's all going to be police officers today, maybe.
You talked a bit about your training experience and different things that you've observed over your career as a law enforcement officer. As it relates to this specific interaction with a defendant, would you describe whether or not she was suffering a mental crisis, mental disease or defect at that time?
So to get in, I've been a deputy for 19 years. I've had a lot of interactions and arrested a lot of people. And in terms of surveillance and a lot of that, when people are surprised by law enforcement, we've heard the term fight or flight. So people have to make 2 decisions when police tell them to do something. Number 1, am I going to do it? And if their answer is yes, we're done. If their answer is no, the second decision they need to make is, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to run or am I going to fight? And so those decisions have to be made. And in this particular interaction, based on the totality of hiding in the vehicle, taking steps to be covert, those are overt acts. Those aren't, subversive acts. And between that and then what we refer to as target glancing, which means when a person wants to run from us, or let's say they have a gun on them or whatever, a lot of times they'll actually look to see, they'll forecast where they're going to run. Because they'll be looking around, they're trying to find their avenue of escape, and that's what they're going to do. Same thing if they have like a weapon on them, a lot of times they'll be touching it, or if they have a knife, we actually train that we see these things, and I've experienced those things through my 19-year career. So I saw the target glancing, and it was pretty evident when she was backing up and then started turning around that she was going to run. And I think that in my mind, those were conscious decisions that were made.
Okay. But specifically as it relates to observing a severe mental disease or defect while you were present on scene observing her, did you observe that?
I did not.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sergeant Ganstein?
Yes.
My name is Will Cook, and I represent Ms. Stauch. I'm going to ask you a few questions. This encounter with Ms. Stauch and Harley Hunt, her daughter, took place on January 30th, 2020.
That's correct.
Okay. Had you ever seen Ms. Stauch in person before seeing her at this residence where you, I guess, were staking it out or had it under surveillance?
I'd seen photos of her.
Photos? Okay. And is that how you recognized her when she came out of this house and got into the car with Harley?
Yes, when we do operations, we have briefing plans where we go over photos and all that other stuff.
Okay. Had you seen photos of Harley?
I can't recall.
Okay. And you've testified that it seemed like she was acting suspiciously, ducking down in the back seat of the car. Seemed like she was avoiding detection.
She wasn't in the vehicle consistent with the normal motoring public driving around, yes.
Okay. But you said it seemed like she was avoiding detection or specifically contacts with law enforcement.
That was my impression, yes.
Okay. So the person driving her around while she's doing this is also helping her to avoid detection or contact with law enforcement.
I can't speak to her intentions. I can only speak to my observations. My observations of her and her driving was not consistent with somebody that's actively trying to evade surveillance.
What would evading surveillance be?
When we follow individuals, drivers specifically, that feel that they're being followed by law enforcement, there's a number of countermeasures essentially that people will take. They'll make U-turns, run red lights, go down one-way streets, or go down to cul-de-sacs and turn around to see if anybody's following them, randomly pull over. It's in our training, our experience, it's pretty apparent when somebody's doing that, and I didn't see that here.
And that's what drivers will do to avoid contact or be followed?
Yeah, if there's multiple people in the vehicle, the only one that can make those decisions to do that would be the driver. They're the only ones in control of the vehicle.
Was Letecia Stauch on January 30th, when you had your interaction with her, was she a person of interest or a suspect in the death of Gannon Stauch? Stauch, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't, in my limited observation, because I wasn't part of the investigations division, it was relayed to me that there was concerns and she was potentially a person of interest. I never actually heard the term that she would be a, quote, suspect.
And when you were following them, did you know the driver of the vehicle at that time was Harley Hunt?
I had a high probability it was, based on the information I received last night and who was in the vehicle, and the vehicle was Harley's vehicle.
So you had gotten information that she was possibly staying at this residence with her daughter?
Yeah, we had a surveillance operation the day before, and I was monitoring that operation the entire night.
Okay. Did you have your body camera on? I see right here in the courtroom, you've got your body camera. It looks like the big black cell phone.
Mm-hmm. At that time, no, I was worked in undercover capacity, and undercover officers don't carry body worn generally.
So you had no body worn camera?
I did not.
Did any of the other deputies or law enforcement officers at the marshals?
Anybody that was on my team would not have had one. This was 3 years ago. Obviously, there's been legislative changes since then that have changed who has to carry them. It was not normal at that time for our investigations people to carry them either when doing contacts, because they weren't specifically required like they are now.
Okay. Was Harley Hunt, since you knew her, she was at the residence, she was Ms. Stauch's daughter, was she a person of interest in this investigation and to the missing, I guess at this time he was a missing person, but later death of Gannon Stauch?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And have you ever been qualified as an expert diagnosing any of the diseases, mental health diseases from the DSM-4 or 5?
I've not been qualified as an expert in that, no.
Okay. And you've never gone to school for or gotten any sort of degrees in psychology or psychiatry or anything? You've never been called as an expert witness to testify as to that?
I've never been called as an expert witness, no.
Okay. Just a second, Your Honor.
Okay, guys. One thing you need to know about me.
I have. Thank you, Sergeant.
I like police
Redirect.
chases too. We have a live police chase out of Los Angeles right now that we're showing to the bottom right-hand corner. As soon as this is done, we're going to go back to the zoomed-in defendant cam. This is a murder suspect who has already carjacked a second vehicle. I believe
Sergeant.
there's people in that vehicle as well. We're just following that
As
live
part
from the corner.
of a unit conducting surveillance, why would it not be feasible to wear a body-worn camera?
Well, number one, we're in an undercover capacity. We don't want other people to see. Basically, I don't want anyone to know my detectives and who they are, what they look like, or anything else. Certainly, body-worn camera evidence is discoverable, and that could potentially put my detectives' lives in danger that are working significant undercover operations involving criminal. We purposely hide our detectives' identity to the point to where they have different names and everything.
In terms of how obvious it would be to have a camera in the center of your chest, would that also be an issue as well?
Well, if we were wearing a camera, it would probably burn us, if you want to call it that. I think people would realize we were the police really quickly, and majority of our job is done behind the scenes, and people don't know that we're there. So,
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Do any of the jurors have any questions for Sergeant Gasting? No? All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Dr. Leon Kelly.
Safe.
Okay, attempted murder suspect in the
Dr. Kelly, if you
live
would step
chase in the
forward
bottom
and
right
raise your right
corner.
hand, please, sir. You swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this man will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Hey, Your Honor.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step to the stand.
Good afternoon, Dr. Kelly. How are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Will you please introduce yourself to our jury and then spell your name for the record?
I'm Dr. Leon Kelly, Leonkelly.
Dr. Kelly, what is your occupation?
I am the El Paso County Coroner and Chief Medical Examiner.
How long have you been in that type of a role?
I've been with the coroner's office since 2008 as the deputy chief until 2018, which I was elected as the coroner and chief medical examiner, and then I was reelected in 2022.
Can you tell the jury about your education that allows you to do that job?
I have a bachelor's of science in biology from Indiana University. I have a medical degree from Indiana University School of Medicine. Following that, I completed 4 years in training in anatomic and clinical pathology at Penrose St. Francis here in Colorado Springs. And then following that, I completed a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology at the University of Texas in Dallas. So I'm board certified in anatomic pathology, clinical pathology, and forensic pathology, and I'm a fully licensed physician in Colorado.
Do you also have certifications?
I do.
Can you tell the jury about that, please?
Board certified in anatomic, clinical, and forensic pathology.
Any professional memberships?
Yes, I'm a member of the National Association of Medical Examiners, the College of American Pathologists, and the American Society of Clinical Pathology.
What about publications? Have you published any journals or anything like that as it relates to pathology or any of your job duties?
We've published papers, posters as well on various types of deaths in forensic setting.
Have you ever testified as a qualified expert witness?
I have.
In what areas?
Forensic pathology, strangulation, many forensic sciences.
What courts have you testified as an expert in?
Multiple courts in Colorado, including El Paso County, as well as courts in South Dakota, California, Ohio, Texas.
Okay. At this time, I would move to have Dr. Kelly qualified as an expert in forensic pathology.
Vince?
No objection, Your Honor.
The witness will be so qualified.
And just so we're all on the same page, Doctor, when we say the word pathology, what do we mean on that?
Pathology is a field of medicine defined essentially as the study of disease or injury.
And then what about forensic pathology?
Forensic pathology is a subset of pathology that deals specifically with deaths that occur in individuals suddenly, unexpectedly, or of anything non-natural. And so it's a field focused specifically on determining cause and manner of death in individuals who've died under those suspicious or injurious circumstances.
Doctor, back in January of 2020, what was your role then as far as, I guess just what was your role back then?
January 2020, I was the elected coroner and chief medical examiner for El Paso County.
Did you get involved in the criminal investigation of the Gannon Stauch murder?
I did.
Can you tell the jury how that happened, how you got involved in that?
There were human remains discovered in Florida. There was a tentative identification as to who that individual was, but not a positive scientific identification. To date, when I became involved, they weren't yet able to definitively identify the individual as Gannon Stauch. And so I was contacted by our local district attorney's office and asked if I could help identify him. And so the medical examiner's office there in Florida had yet to be able to accomplish that. And I've had good luck and experience in identifying individuals who had been deceased for a long time. So I said, yes, let's bring the remains, or at least portion of the remains, to El Paso County, and we will do our best to identify him.
What were complicating factors leading to this difficulty that you just described to get a DNA confirmation?
The remains had advanced decomposition, so the body had begun to break down. To make scientific identification, generally we talk about two things: dental, which is you look at the teeth, you x-ray them, and then you have to have radiographs or x-rays from that individual that you think it is at a dentist that they went to when they were alive. The other way to identify individuals is through DNA. As the body breaks down, the cells that have the DNA, the material that we need to identify, begins to dissolve. And it becomes very difficult to use traditional DNA techniques to get enough of that material that's still intact to identify them. And so living in the mountains, in a place where people often go missing or not found for sometimes many years, we've grown skilled in being able to identify individuals who have that degree of decomposition or skeletonization.
What items did you receive from Florida to do the analysis that you did?
So for the forensic odontology examination, we received teeth, dental material. And then for the DNA, we received a femur, one of the leg bones, the upper portion of the leg bone.
Tell the jury what you did to potentially find a sample that would be suitable for developing a DNA profile.
And so for the DNA, what we did was essentially take the femur, which is sort of the large ball that lives up in the hip. It's relatively protected. It'd be one of the last things that could be exposed to the environment. And that femoral head, the ball part that goes into the socket that's the hip, contains a large amount of bone and blood at its center, essentially bone marrow. And so we saw it in half, separating the two parts of the ball, and inside there is large amounts, I said, of what we call trabecular bone that contains the bone marrow that replenishes the white blood cells in the body. And so we sawed it in half, which revealed the inner marrow and fresher state of cells, and then essentially release that to the DNA lab, who then could scoop out that marrow and then look for DNA.
And when you say you submit that to the DNA lab, is that the Metro Crime Lab?
It is.
Did you ever learn whether they were able to develop a DNA profile from that sample you submitted?
I was told that they did.
Did you learn who they identified that DNA sample to belong?
The DNA was positively identified as Gannon Stauch.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Dr. Kelly, good afternoon. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. When you do autopsies, you've done hundreds of them, if not thousands of them over your career, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When you have a human body that is deceased, it will start smelling. For lack of a better term, it'll start emitting a bad smell, putrid smell, whatever you want to call it. But that's one of the hallmarks of death, is a bad smell.
Yeah, as the body breaks down, the bacteria that live in our body begin to consume the body. One of the byproducts of their metabolism is gas that smells poorly. So once decomposition begins, yes, human remains, as do all organic remains, and including other animals, begins to smell quite poorly.
How, and I know it depends on temperature, humidity, and a lot of other factors, but if you could just discuss When a person dies, a human being dies, how long does it take for this poor smell to begin?
So the breakdown of the body after death is driven almost entirely by temperature. It's humans are like any other organism that dies. If you have a steak and you put it in your fridge or your freezer, it'll last for weeks, months, many years without smelling. You leave that same steak out on a hot day in the front of your house in the sun, and it'll start stinking within a couple hours. Humans are no different. And so given normal temperatures, let's say 70 degrees inside a home, usually decomposition begins between about 24 and 48 hours. Usually by about 3 to 5 days, the body is sort of well into a decomposition and the smell is quite obvious and strong. However, given a very hot environment, 90 degrees, 100 degrees, bodies can begin decomposing within just a few hours.
So inside a home or a building, 70 degrees, climate controlled, or perhaps in a vehicle that's climate controlled at 70 degrees, you're looking at 3 to 5 days before it could really start smelling poorly?
That's correct.
Okay. And when you say start smelling poorly, somebody else in a closed vehicle or in a home, or they would be able to smell it. It would be very apparent.
It would, yes.
Okay. Would it be overpowering?
You're probably talking to the wrong guy for that.
Smells this for a living. The judge is laughing.
It's kind of my everyday.
You have a high tolerance for poor smells?
Be careful what you get good at. Yes, I do. But yes, generally someone who's not used to dealing with that smell every day, it's tough. It's tough to deal with. It's essentially overpowering. Yes.
Okay. So a normal human being, it would be overpowering.
That's correct.
All right. I think that's all I have, Doctor. Thank you.
Redirect.
Thank you, Doc.
Doctor, your ability to withstand these odors notwithstanding, if a person freezes a body, will that delay when that smell becomes heavier?
It will. Yes, freezing a body will essentially stop decomposition as it does with all meat. And then once removed, it will take sometimes several days for bodies that we have that are frozen out in the environment during the winter to thaw to the point where you can even autopsy them, sometimes 2 to 3 days. So yeah, a frozen body or a body kept at cool temperatures essentially can last indefinitely before those smells appear.
And I'm going to ask you some probably very obvious questions here, but just bear with me. Gannon was reported missing in late January of 2020, winter months. If the body had been left outside in those conditions, would that be ripe for freezing that body?
It would.
If it was left overnight, would that be ripe for freezing that body?
It would.
And then if the body is kept in an enclosed container, like a suitcase with blankets in it, would that also potentially limit how quickly that odor escapes from that item?
It would. First, it would insulate the body, allow it to stay cooler longer. And then also any closed environment helps prevent that smell from emanating out, from flies getting to it, which aids in decomposition. So yeah, it would reduce the smell dramatically.
When your office responds out to crime scenes to retrieve a dead body from a crime scene, do you wrap them in, or do your folks wrap them in a body bag?
They do.
Is that to contain fluids and those sorts of things, and even potentially smell?
Evidence, fluid, smells, yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Dr. Kelly? Looks like we have one. Just pass it forward. And Mr. Allen, if you would retrieve that council approach, please.
Okay, we're going to switch views to this guy right here. Okay, sorry, the feed just dropped on my live stream for the chase that we're following. Get that pulled back up here. Okay, we've got that back. Okay, there we go.
All right, Dr. Kelly, what impact does humidity have on decomposition?
So humidity, meaning the moisture in the air, would result in decomposition likely and potentially happening at a slightly increased rate. Probably not dramatically, not enough to alter the time course that I talked about. What it does do is alter dramatically the type of decomposition that's going to happen. And so in a state like Florida or in the Gulf Coast, where you have high temperatures, lots of moisture in the air and the environment, the body tends to decompose in a way that's sort of very, very, very wet. And it goes through a process which we call adipocere, which is the bacteria and the things that live in a moist environment are very different than a dry environment. And so those bodies do tend to smell even worse, if you can imagine, than other conditions. Here in the West, where we live, bodies go through a different state. They start out juicy and wet initially because there's fluid in the body, but then it relatively quickly turns towards a mummification, which is a drying out, a leathering of the body, which does tend to keep the smell down quite a bit. The first few weeks of the decomposition, there's not going to be a measurable difference. It's really after that point where they'll go these two different directions.
I will allow reasonable follow-up as to that question only. Mr. Allen?
Only for purposes of our record, can you spell adipocere for the court reporter?
Yes, adipocere is ADIPOCERE.
All right.
Got it.
All right. Mr. Cook?
I don't have anything else.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. You may
Thank you, Your Honor.
watch your step.
Okay, continuing through burning
Prosecution,
through
call your next
witnesses.
witness, please.
Yeah, juicy was not the word I would have chosen to describe that. Of course, moist is also not a good word for that.
Ms. Williams, if you would step forward and raise your right hand, please, ma'am. You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Good afternoon, Ms.
Graziano?
Williams. Sorry, Your Honor.
That's all right.
Would you state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Marissa Williams.
And where are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
For approximately 11 years.
And in 2020, what was the nature of your roles and responsibility with El Paso County Sheriff's Office?
I was assigned to the investigations division as a detective.
And as it relates to your work, in this case, fair to say that you were the jack of all trades?
Yes, although primarily handled the financial responsibilities.
Okay. In terms of obtaining financial responsibilities, can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes. I initially took interest in, tracking the financial records of the Stauches to determine what type of activity they had been taking part in during the time that Gannon went missing.
And so as part of that, would you have been involved in applications for search warrants, things like that?
That's correct.
Did you also have observations of other law enforcement officers collecting evidence, for example?
Yes, ma'am. There were other officers and investigators, both with the DA's office and the FBI, assisting the El Paso County Sheriff's Office in collecting the type of records I was collecting as well.
Okay. And I'll direct your attention to January 28th of 2020. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you present for an interview, or at least a portion of an interview that occurred that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was that?
The interview was at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. I observed Detective Mark Riley interviewing Eugene Al Stauch.
Okay. And for other interviews that may have been conducted with Letecia Stauch, were you present for any of those?
I was present, but I did not observe the full interviews.
Okay. I will direct your attention to observations of Letecia Stauch. Did you see her in person?
Yes, I did meet her in person.
Okay. And is there a particular date you recall seeing her in person?
Yes, it was Wednesday, January 29th at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And on that date, can you generally describe her demeanor? How would you describe her demeanor?
She was evasive with questions. She was, I would say, upset, but not in the same way that you would expect with a parent that's missing a child.
Speculation. I'll sustain the objection on the different grounds. I think she needs to lay a little bit more foundation as to her experience regarding contacts with parents of missing children.
And again, the degree that she's going to be basing it on observation or opinion on her work experience, I'm objecting under Stewart.
All right, and under People versus Froehler, 373 Pacific 3rd, 672 Colorado Appellate 2015, I don't think that the Stewart standard regarding accident reconstructionist applies. This doesn't involve specialized training. This does involve her experience regarding contacts with other individuals who may have been similarly situated. The objection's overruled.
This judge is on it. Wow.
In terms of your experience in law enforcement over the years, have you had contact with a variety of suspects, a person of interest, that sort of thing?
Yes, I have, probably hundreds.
Have you been exposed to parents of missing children as well?
Yes.
Parents of runaways?
Yes.
And in terms of your training experience, specifically as it relates to being around parents of missing children, how would you describe the defendant's demeanor on January 29th of 2020?
My experience with parents of missing children or runaways comes from having worked on patrol during the years of 2014 through 2018. And most parents are primarily concerned with doing something to track down their child, such as contacting friends, going out and searching for their child, or providing any type of evidence that would assist law enforcement in doing the same. But Ms. Stauch, on the other hand, was bothered by the fact that she had to come in and talk with law enforcement, and was more concerned about her well-being than her missing sons.
In terms of being present on scene, and again, based on your training experience as it relates to your role as a detective, but also on patrol, did it appear to you at that time that she was experiencing a severe mental disease, defect, or crisis?
And I'm going to object to this testimony in general as to these officers laying an opinion that they lack the proper foundation with this. I'm going to specifically refer the court to People v. Medina, Colorado Supreme Court, 521 P2D 1257, Colorado Supreme Court, 1974.
Right. Ms. Gratiano?
Your Honor, for the reasons that we've had prior law enforcement officers explain their training experience and their observations while on patrol or other investigations, she's laid sufficient foundation to testify to that answer.
And Your Honor, Medina specifically deals with law enforcement officers and says that the limited interaction they've had is not sufficient for any opinion regarding that opinion.
All right. Any further record? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's what's going on. This officer cannot testify about whether or not someone has a mental disease or defect in the form or in the same fashion that a psychiatrist would be able to testify as to whether or not somebody has a mental disease or defect. However, I do think that this officer can testify based upon her contacts with a defendant as to how she interpreted the defendant's mental status. I think that's a common issue that we all deal with. Some people are, when we talk with somebody, we all understand that someone may be under some stress, someone may be acting differently, those sorts of things. I think that this officer can testify about that. However, this officer cannot testify about whether or not she has a specific mental defect or disease, and it will go to weight, not admissibility. Ms. Gratian.
In terms of understanding conversations that were occurring that day, how would you describe how the defendant answered questions?
I think she answered questions competently. She understood the questions that were being asked. There was no indication that she did not understand the questions or failed to understand the language that was being spoken.
At any point, did she refer to herself or address anyone by a different name, referring to herself?
Not that I recall.
And in terms of her overall awareness of the situation, how would you describe that on January 29th of 2020? How would you describe her demeanor?
I'm not really sure how to answer.
Yeah. Awareness as to where she was, what was being done, what she was being asked, et cetera.
I think she fully understood the gravity of the situation because the El Paso County Sheriff's Office had asked her many times to come in for an interview and to assist in providing some evidence about the location of her stepson's whereabouts.
In terms of other documents that you assisted in retrieving from other law enforcement members, were you part of retrieving rental agreement from Avis Rental? Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay. And who did you assist in that process, if you did?
No, I was the one who collected the Avis budget rental records in March, on March 20th, I believe.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with what has been marked as People's Exhibit 232.
You may, go ahead.
Moment to familiarize yourself with People's Exhibit 232.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize it?
Yes, ma'am. This is a different rental record than the one that I had referred to as collecting in March.
Okay. And when you talk about, you testified as to having contact with Avis, who in particular did you have contact with at Avis? Would have been a manager or somebody at the counter?
I don't recall the name of the person for this particular record. I recall for the other one, but not for this one.
Okay.
May I refer to my report?
You can, if that would refresh your recollection.
Yes, ma'am.
And in terms of a specific name, I'm not asking you for a specific name, but just what representative from Avis you had contact with.
Sure.
Not sure why they're showing this part of the live feed on the chase. Seems to be gone. It's coming back. They were just showing that clip over and over. It's still going on. They're still pushing through traffic. Oh, they're showing a highlights reel.
And it may be helpful just to explain to the jury just the general process of retrieving, for example, a document from a business. How do you go about doing that? That just might be helpful to start.
So yes, the process for collecting evidence from rental car business such as Avis is that I issue a court order or a search warrant addressed to the company in the first place, and then have a judge review the probable cause in the affidavit. And once the judge has signed off on it, I serve it either in person or via some electronic delivery method that's preferred by the company. In this particular case, I did serve the warrant in person because the business was local. The Avis budget rental was at the Colorado Springs airport.
And to retrieve documents referring to a rental agreement, did you respond to that location?
I did.
And was a representative able to provide you with documentation?
Yes, ma'am. They provided the rental agreement that showed the signed agreement. It had been signed by Letecia Stauch, and I believe it was signed on Tuesday, January 28th, for a, it was for a white Kia Rio 4-door sedan. And that vehicle was used for approximately 1 day before it was returned to the same location.
And to be clear, when you're retrieving things, you're retrieving a rental agreement, but are you retrieving documents that come with that rental agreement from that company?
Yes, ma'am.
Such as Exhibit 232?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you explain how you recognize what 232 generally is?
I recognize it because I've seen it before during the time I collected it.
Okay. And because you've seen it before, would you say it's a fair and accurate representation of the rental agreement documents you retrieved from the Avis representative that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move for the admission of People's Exhibit 232.
Mr. Tellini, Exhibit 232 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Great. In terms of other work in this case, you explained that you collected various financial documents. Did you also have an opportunity to review those financial documents?
Most of them I did, yes.
And overall, were you able to, along with other law enforcement members, able to track movements or charges, if you will, of the defendant through those financial documents?
Yes.
Your Honor, we'll pass the witness.
Cross-examination. Do any of the jurors have any questions for Detective Williams? No? Well, hold on.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Are we passing or not passing?
Your Honor, just pursuant to the stipulations that we've already put on the record,
Yes.
that have to deal with USAA records and American Express records, we've already asked for that stipulation to be put on the record.
And it has been, and I assume that this relates to some of that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Do any of the jurors have any questions for Detective Williams? No? All right. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
And Your Honor, for the purposes of the record, we are admitting People's Exhibit 231, which relates to that stipulation.
Okay. Are you doing that just as part of are you going to have a witness with that, or are you just admitting the exhibit?
We're just admitting the exhibit.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what we're talking about here is that the parties have reached stipulations regarding various different exhibits. And one of the exhibits is Exhibit 231, right? Exhibit 231, which is referred to as a disc of American Express records. There won't be a witness with that. It will just be records that will be admitted as an exhibit for you to consider that has records from American Express. The parties have admitted or have agreed that the exhibit can be admitted without further evidentiary foundation or testimony. So Exhibit 231 is admitted. Prosecution, call your next witness. Okay.
My Chase feed cut out. There are some other feeds still available. It's just a little bit of a hassle to try to
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the next witness, now's a good time to take a break since we came back a little bit early. So if I can have everyone back in the jury room at, say, 10 after 3, we should be able to start on time at that point. Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. With that, all rise for the jury, please.
Okay, so let's see. I think we're wait until they have anything, see if they have anything to do outside the presence of the jury here. How long is the break going to be? 15 minutes? Fox 11 LA. I've got the chase pulled up on Fox 11. I just don't want to switch away from it just quite yet in case something's happening here, and it looks like they've killed their cameras. So give me just one second.
Thank you. May all be seated. Record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. Is there anything else we need to take up at this point?
No, Your Honor.
No? Okay. All right. Court will be in recess until 3:10. Thank you.
Okay. Give me just one second. We'll get the feed up during the break for the police chase for those that want to keep seeing that, because it is happening here. I'll bring that over here.
You got the so.
Here we go.
Yep, we're good.
All right, we'll take this right here. So this is the chase going on with an attempted murder suspect. They did change vehicles. We think this is actually not. We've got a hot mic from the court too. We've got a 20-minute break, so we've got a minute to catch up. Was the Avalanche the first vehicle? Yes, that's the one with the broken front tire. He really torqued that the front right tire. It was down to the rim and snapped it about 90 degrees. Let me unpin the message here.
Every day that I wear these, okay, let's see if I can do it. Yeah, just as cool. So it is. It's like I started a new challenge for myself. I'm like, okay,
this is a hot mic we're hearing from the courtroom still with no video feed.
Usually I don't make it.
I think this particular vehicle is not stolen. They're driving it carefully, not hitting other vehicles. The first vehicle probably was stolen, and they used it as a battery.
I'm gonna get full.
And the courtroom audio is it's crazy. So many people talking. Hot mic. They torqued the torque bar. Yes. And I think they might have turned it off there. Nope. They're just being quiet. I don't think this driver was carjacked. He jumped in the back seat. They backed up, and then she hopped in, and then he hopped in the back. So the driver is in the back seat on the driver's side, and it looked like the car was almost waiting for him. Little spit out the window. Thank you for that. See here.
Were you okay? Yeah. I'm like,
the chase is taking place in LA. Western Ave and West 169th Place is roughly the location that I can see. Why is it always California? It's not always California. It's just California has news cameras always up in the air. So we just happen to see them more often. The driver jumped into the back seat. They might have changed at some point while they were moving, maybe. They arrested 2 women. Bring the jury. I'll turn the sounds up for you here a little bit. Yeah, so we'll be back with the court case here as soon as the break is over. The judge has a bit of a break for everybody, the jury included. So during the meantime, we just popped in on this live police chase out of LA. We do follow police chases here as well. Usually not at the same time as court. Let's see, Amber's calling in. Let's see what Amber has to say. Amber, are you there?
Hey, sorry, I was turning my volume down.
Very good. What's happening?
It was easier to call while we were on break than trying to keep up with the chat. So, yeah, 2 women were taken into custody. It was the 2 women that you saw running.
Okay. When he did the vehicle switch. Did they run from the
when
first
the vehicle-
truck?
Say again?
Did they run from the first truck? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's being reported right now. The first vehicle was confirmed to be a carjacking.
Oh, okay.
I'm suspicious that this one may not be a carjacking.
I doubt that they.
I mean, I've rewatched where the car swap happened, and you can't see the driver's side door, but the passenger door, front door, ends up opening before the vehicle starts to take off again.
Yeah, and then closes again, right?
Right. So I don't know if it was, if the original occupants of the vehicle are known to the suspect or if they're not.
Crazy. Only in LA. I mean, they get the wildest chases for sure.
Yeah, only in LA. And I have no idea how long they're going to keep going, but they have no air in the rear driver tire.
Yeah, that's generally a recipe for a shorter chase.
Well, now it took a bit. They have confirmed that LAPD has been trying to put down spike strips where they can in town because they have stayed off of the interstate. They've done a pretty good job of trying to keep those on-ramps blocked off so the suspect can't get onto the interstate.
There's a better shot of that back wheeler right now. It's well, now it's bad, but yeah, it's just down on the rim. They did turn signal, so there's one more crime they're not going to get in trouble for during this chase because they do keep track of everything you do. Every light you run, every stop sign you run, every school zone you blast through. It sort of adds to the tally when you go to court. But
oh yeah, and they just rack them on up. The driver has been seen on the phone in different feeds since the vehicle swap. It was mentioned maybe they're trying to negotiate how they're going to turn him in, or if it's somebody that knows the suspect, or if it's actually carjacking. But that's all kind of speculative. But
well, awesome. Thanks for the update, Amber. I'm gonna go ahead and turn back up the hot mic in the courtroom. There's a lot of chatter going on. We want to hear what's happening there, and we'll try to do both. We'll watch a police chase while listening to a hot mic and see if we can make sense out of either of them as we wait for the judge to come back from the break.
All right, I'm trying to answer y'all in chat. It's just going too fast for me to catch everybody. All right, bye.
All right, see you. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate that.
Okay. Oh, no, yeah. No, they don't. That's like a big one, really.
Yeah, that rear tire is coming apart. You can see pieces of it falling off. It's quite the Friday. I'm impressed that they haven't wrecked this vehicle yet. I mean, at least substantially.
I hate it.
It's been going for about an hour on this chase, roughly, with 2 vehicles. Yeah, the turn signals are the best. It's like we'll steal a car and run from the cops, but we'll turn the turn signals on because we're not like heathens. We'll be coming back to court here in just a minute. Just for a second, we're going to be here with the chase.
Yeah, he's.
Changes in every station. Yeah. Yeah. I like how my station.
I generally try not to watch more than 6 things at once because at that point my brain just explodes.
I know.
But I did bring vegetables once we went to the hotspot. And then I just dropped the sugar candy. I could have gone like a lemon crusty lunch.
No, I ate lunch.
It was the same.
Oh, those are good.
Mayhem if I did that, but it still makes it.
This is a hot mic from the court. The cameras have been turned off, but the mics were left on, and we're listening in.
So, Trader Joe's. I still love this store, but Trader Joe's doesn't.
Ain't Trader Joe's real expensive though?
No, they're not at all.
Really?
So didn't you like sell a building for like $1 million?
They're talking about Trader Joe's.
You know what happens when you sell? Do you know what happens when you sell a building for $1 million? You turn around and buy a house.
We're supposed to have that square footage,
I'll adopt them. I'll adopt you.
I wish I could see who was speaking. I think it's probably all prosecution.
You make an olive oil cake? You make an olive oil cake?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Who was it that was bragging? Was it Indoor?
Indoor.
No, she was like, holy shit, she brought in this and that. And it was like so good. And she was like,
Mess around in your kitchen.
yeah. Yeah. Schwindorf. Who signed probably half of these.
She's done a lot of searching.
So we have a printed one, and it's almost always so.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But isn't it always crazy there?
Because they don't start with Trader Joe's. So we have a nice one called Dad's, like, together they start actually doing that around 6, but they need everything.
Like the university centers?
And then.
Don't feel weird, Queen Olive. We all love this. We love hot mics.
I never remember working with Trader Joe's. And then for like.
Really?
So the deadline is 3. It's insane thing I've ever. If you didn't get your story in by 3 o'clock, it wouldn't run. It was like. Yeah, and because you work at this like it's like a smaller newspaper, and when they
It's the actual where?
work area, so they expect you to say the average thing. Like right now.
So these might be reporters on the courtroom.
And they right don't have stories. Yeah, I mean, like obviously.
Yeah, I would.
Works days having that. Not there if you don't have story like extra.
I guess it's similar here too.
Born in Colorado, when I was dying.
I had to have.
Delay is extremely expensive. I can do about 8 milliseconds of delay with the hardware I have. Anything beyond that is very expensive.
Yeah.
But here, if it's a slow day.
Well, why don't you buy a lake house like in Michigan or Indiana?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Let your friends and colleagues.
We're like, come and hang out. We're like Raccoon Lake in Indiana.
Yeah, and like with a house.
If you take when I say 80, we can pass the world's largest church. So yeah, keep going.
Done there.
Oh, me too, several times.
Yeah, what a destination.
It's me. There's nothing else to see, but that's it.
So it's on.
Northern Iowa, so it's.
These conversations are all happening in the gallery of
It's
court.
so if you, it's like 2 hours north that way. It's like almost right on the Minnesota border, basically. But you're very, very close from the out here. It's like it's really. Yeah. I already got noticed from North Carolina.
Oh, he's got a runner. Got a runner. Here we go. Here we go.
It's like.
Yeah.
What was it?
Bring in the fur missile.
It's great. Yeah. So the other
So I took care of the money for 3 days.
Oh, check out those cars.
Yeah.
He's got his hands up, but he's not stopping.
They called me.
Yeah. His adrenaline is going like 1,000,000 miles an hour. These are other people, not the suspect. It's probably in the house.
I was waiting for it to become adoptable.
I've had a rabbit before. I have bought rabbits at the county fair and kept them as pets.
You've got rabbits at the county fair. If you had that on your bingo card,
We had one.
congratulations.
He's real big and they tattooed him
Oh, here he is.
ears.
He's at gunpoint.
Cute. I know.
We need a dog. They're going to bring a dog here.
Yeah.
And he's going to comply. Down he goes.
You know what
This is really comfortable what they're doing right now. It's actually that position's held for comfort. They're just going to get real cozy with him for a minute with that knee. And he's in cuffs. Yeah, we appreciate him doing that over the break. And now we can focus on the hot mic.
There's a lawsuit.
Look how they swing him up there. That's pretty cool.
I will say it's
He probably should have just pulled over.
I've seen.
Because now he's tired and he's busted.
Make sure you know you're ready.
Driver jumped out. Did you see her? The driver jumped out a ways ago. Now he has to walk of shame all the way back to the police cars. Is he wearing a Dare shirt? I doubt it.
You're like, I sweat now.
Yeah, it's like, gosh, you have a great point there.
I'm sure the driver's arrested. I'm positive. At least held to see if she was forced to drive or not.
Do you want to?
And then it's like.
All right, the Preston County Combined Court concession on the Greg Horner presiding.
Thank you. May I
here
be
we go.
seated? We'll recall People versus Letecia Stauch.
Give just a minute. We'll get this back up.
1358. Record should reflect the jury's not present in the courtroom. Is there anything we need to take up outside the presence of the jury at this point in time?
There you are.
Defense? Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in.
All right. We're bringing the video back up right now. There we go. We're back in court. You can see the pan out there. I really think they need to turn these cameras on before they bring the jury in for that reason, because they've showed the jury before.
For planning purposes, are you guys planning on leaving everything in here over the weekend? It's going to be locked. There shouldn't be anybody in here.
I'm sure we'll leave some things in here. Yeah.
Okay, but I know you guys did a really good job of cleaning stuff out of here Wednesday night. So, but it's up to you.
Okay.
So we're good to leave.
Yeah. Yep, you can leave. Yeah, because there won't be anybody here.
Leave Mr. Cellini here.
All rise for the jury, please.
Did they say they leave Letecia there? Is that what they said? You're welcome. We need a little break sometimes from the heaviness of the case, and the car chase came in at a good time.
I think everybody can.
We're back on the case, though.
Eternal. Again.
Yeah.
You know, it's Good
Everybody's getting
Friday.
giddy.
It's Good Friday.
Yeah.
Hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you. May all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would call Janine Sanchez.
All right.
All right, let's see if I can get a little better zoom on her.
So just come on. Oh, wait, that's where you in.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Does that work?
Ms. Sanchez, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give in this man will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Will you please introduce yourself to our jurors and spell your first and last name for the record?
Yes, my name is Janine Sanchez, JANINE SANCHEZ.
Ms. Sanchez, I want to just do some preliminary stuff with you. Do you live here in Colorado Springs?
Yes.
And I'm going to talk specifically about January of 2020, so 3 years ago. Where were you living back in January of 2020?
In Lorson Ranch.
Were you familiar with a young lady by the name of Harley Hunt?
Yes.
How did you know Miss Harley Hunt?
So we worked together at Massage Envy, and then we'd occasionally go to Bible study together.
Are you similar in age with her?
I'm about a couple years older than her.
Okay. And you said you worked at Massage Envy. Did you both share the same type of job, or did you have different jobs at that employer?
We were both receptionists.
Would you see each other often at work?
I would say, depending on the shift, yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you would sometimes go to Bible studies together. Did you ever hang out any other times outside of work besides those types of gatherings?
No.
Okay. Did you have each other's phone numbers?
Yes.
Would you sometimes text with each other?
Yes.
Would that include potentially sending jokes, memes, TikToks, that kind of thing?
Yes, we would send TikToks to each other.
TikTok is quite controversial these days, isn't it?
Yes.
How would you describe Harley's demeanor?
She was very nice.
Was she social or was she shy?
She was both. She was shy at first, and then once you got to know her, she was more social.
Would you say she had a positive personality or a negative personality?
Positive.
Bubbly or angry?
Bubbly.
Okay. Was she nice to people or mean to people?
She was nice.
Multiple
And then
choice
how would
questions
she
are best.
interact with customers that would come into Massage Envy?
She was really nice to them.
Was she professional also?
Yes.
Little leading. But
Had you
they're
ever
allowing
been
it.
over to her house?
No.
Prior to a specific time that we're going to get to in just a moment, did you ever have an occasion to meet any of her family members?
No.
Okay. At some point, did you become aware that her younger brother was missing?
Yes.
I'm not asking you for what was said, but did you actually get a text from Harley regarding that specific incident?
Yes.
Do you remember working with her on Wednesday, January 29th?
It was a long time ago, so I don't remember exact dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to help you orient yourself, and it makes perfect sense. It's over 3 years ago. We've had previous testimony that Gannon went missing on January 27th, which was a Monday. And then did you talk to a detective in this case?
Yes.
Do you remember talking about the last time you might have worked with Harley with that detective?
Yes.
Okay. And if I showed you that report, would that help you remember what day that was you were referencing last seeing Harley?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
In Sanchez, I'm showing you a police report. And I want you to look at this last paragraph on the page and read through it and then tell me when you're done.
This,
That paragraph, yes.
yes,
Did that refresh your memory as to the last time you had worked with Harley?
yes,
What day was that?
the 29th.
Was that a Wednesday, January 29th?
Yes.
What was, again, not asking you for any statements that Harley made to you, but what was Harley's demeanor like on that day?
She was a little frantic, just not her usual self.
Do you remember telling the detective whether she was crying or not?
Yes,
And was she crying in your memory?
yes,
Okay. At some point, were you with Harley and picked up Harley's mother from the hospital?
yes.
Tell the jury about that. Again, whose car were you in?
We were in Harley's car.
Who was driving that vehicle?
Harley.
And what seat were you sitting in?
I was in the front seat.
What hospital did you go to pick up her mother?
I'm not sure the name, but it's somewhere around here in the downtown Spring area.
Memorial Hospital, does that sound correct?
I'm not sure.
That's okay. So, but you're just remembering it as a downtown hospital somewhere fairly close to where we are now?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe, as you're in the car with Harley, how she was acting then? Was she still acting like she was crying or upset?
No,
How was she acting now?
just normal.
Okay. Do you remember talking to the detective about how she was acting?
In the car? Or?
Yes, while you're in the car with her at the hospital?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember the Harley's mother getting into the car with you?
Yes.
Did Harley's demeanor change when her mother got into the car with you all?
No.
Okay. Do you remember talking to the detective about her, about Harley acting timid and overwhelmed at that time?
Yes.
Was that different than when she was crying earlier?
Yes, she had kind of calmed down a bit in the car versus earlier when she was crying.
Okay. When Harley's mother got into the car, I may have already asked you this, so if I did, I apologize. Where did she get into the car?
In the back seat.
Okay. So did that mean that Harley's still driving, you're in the front passenger seat, and mother is in the back seat?
Yes.
Was she sitting behind you or behind Harley?
In the middle.
In the middle, okay. Do you remember telling the detective anything about whether Harley was quieter or louder than normal during this car ride from the hospital to your house?
Well, we definitely weren't talking for the car ride. It was more just quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember telling the detective that Harley was quieter than normal?
Yes.
Okay. And I think I've already asked you this in an implied way, but this time that you're now seeing Harley's mother, had you ever seen her before?
No.
Do you see her here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Will you please point her out and describe what she's wearing?
Yes. Pink shirt right in the corner over here.
And you're using your right hand to point over to my left over here?
Yes.
All right, ask to the record reflect that she's identified the defendant.
Record will so reflect. Go ahead.
How would you describe the defendant's demeanor or actions when she got in the car?
What do you mean by that?
Well, how was she acting?
It was my first time meeting her, so I can't really describe how else she would be acting, but I'd say normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not doing anything out of the ordinary?
No.
Okay. Do you remember her making any statements to you or just to anybody while she was in the car?
No.
Do you remember talking to the detective about her getting into the car?
Yes.
Do you remember telling the detective that the defendant apologized for having to stay at your house?
Yes.
Do you remember talking to the detective about the defendant's demeanor in the car?
No.
How she's acting?
No.
Okay. You don't remember that at all? Do you remember telling the detective that the defendant was acting weird?
No.
Okay. Do you remember a specific statement that the defendant made to you when she got into the car?
Yes, I do remember that one statement.
And what was that one statement?
Just jokingly, how she was joking about saying, basically, hope you don't think we're a bunch of murderers.
So the defendant said that to you?
Yes.
Did you find that to be weird?
Yes. But other than that, the demeanor wasn't weird, just that one statement.
Okay. So she wasn't acting like she was losing her mind or anything like that?
No.
Do you remember whether the defendant started using Harley's her cell phone?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you remember about that.
I was in the front passenger seat, and her mom was in the back seat. Harley's mom was in the back seat, and I remember her taking her phone, like Harley's phone, to the back and kind of texting people. I'm not sure who.
So what you remember is that Harley had her phone in the front seat?
Yes.
And then the defendant, did she reach up and take the phone from the front seat?
Yes.
And how did you know that she was texting using Harley's phone?
Because I was there when she took Harley's phone in the back.
Okay. I guess, could you hear the keyboard clicks or anything like that? Or how did you know that she was sending texts?
She made a remark saying, hey, can I see your phone real quick?
Okay. She being the defendant made that
Yes.
comment. Okay. Did you get a text from Harley's phone while the defendant had Harley's phone?
Yes.
Did that seem odd to you?
Very.
Why was that odd?
Because we were all in the car together, so there's really no point to be texting when we were all there.
And what did that text say, if you remember?
Not sure exact wording, but basically if her mom could stay as well.
Did that seem to you to be then that it was almost like Harley was asking you if her mom could stay with you at your house? That's kind of a confusing question, I know.
Yeah. More that Harley had originally asked to stay over and then later on asked if her mom could stay as well.
Okay, but really it was her mom asking on her own using Harley's phone if she could stay.
Yes.
Did that seem weird to you since you're sitting right there and it could have been verbally said as opposed to texted?
Yes.
Do you remember a particular time when the defendant said something about turning off location services?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
It's been a while, but I remember that they had turned off Harley's location service basically on her phone.
Okay, so let's dive into that just a little bit more. Is this while the defendant has Harley's phone?
I do not remember.
Okay. What does location services mean to you?
Just basically seeing where someone's at based off of Google Maps.
Okay.
This is just crazy. Every time we talk to a new witness, it just gets.
Do you remember the defendant making a statement while holding Harley's phone that she was turning off Harley's cell phone location services?
I do not.
Okay. If I show you a report, would that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may, go ahead.
Maybe she should have reviewed her report before this. Might have been a little easier.
Yes.
This is just a friend of Haley's from work. They're both receptionists at the same Massage Envy store. And Haley's like, hey, can I stay with you tonight? And she's like, yes. And, oh, by the way, pick up my mom. And then while the mom's there in the car, is it okay if my mom stays too? So it texts the mom to the friend while she's in the back seat. Just, yeah. After the comment she said is, I hope you don't think we're murderers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That refresh your memory?
Yes.
So do you remember the defendant making a comment about turning off location services?
Yes.
What did the defendant say about that?
Just that she was turning off her location on her phone.
On Harley's phone?
Yes.
And do you remember her saying because she had to?
Yes.
And then what did the defendant do with Harley's phone after that?
After turning off the location?
Yes.
I believe she still had her phone.
Okay. Do you remember telling the detective that she then passed the phone back to Harley?
I do not remember.
Okay.
Sorry.
If I show you the report again, would that refresh?
Yes.
Okay. And I know this has been a long time, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Did that refresh your memory?
Yes.
So after the defendant turned off Harley's cell phone location services, do you remember the defendant passing Harley's phone back to Harley?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember while you were still at the hospital, the defendant making a statement about evidence being found?
Yes.
What did she say about that?
She was just kind of talking about how they thought they had found evidence on her.
And then also, did she mention finding evidence at the house? Do you remember that?
I do not.
Okay. If I show you the report again, would
Yes.
that refresh your memory? Okay.
You just let her read the whole
You're just
report.
getting my steps in.
Sorry. Just want to make sure it's accurate.
This line right here.
This witness
Yes.
was a couple years older than Haley. She's probably in early 20s.
Do you
right
remember the defendant making a mention about there being evidence found at the house?
Yes.
What did she say about that?
Just about like the carpet situation, how there was like a fire with the carpet.
Okay. Hold on just a moment. And again, I'm not asking you for any comments from Harley Hunt at this point, but did the defendant ever say anything to you about why her and her daughter wanted to stay at your house?
So Harley was just wanting to stay at my house because she didn't really feel comfortable at her own house. I'm not really sure why her mom wanted to stay at my house. With the whole texting thing, that was kind of odd, but we were already at my house, so I just let them both stay.
Was it strange to you that both Harley and her mom were now staying at the house as opposed to just Harley as originally arranged?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Did it make it even more strange that this is also at the time that Harley's young little brother was also missing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, wait a second. Good question. How was her behavior, the defendant's behavior at your house?
Really, we just walked into my house, talked for a little bit, and then I let them get settled in the living room, and then I just went upstairs.
Okay. So you have a 2-story house?
It's technically a 3, but the basement's unfinished.
Okay. So is your bedroom upstairs?
On the 2nd floor.
And then
Technically the 3rd floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where did they stay, Harley and her mother?
On the 2nd floor, when you first enter the ground level.
Okay. Did you hear any strange noises the night that they stayed the night there?
No.
Did the defendant do anything out, that didn't make any sense or loud or anything like that?
No.
Did she act as if any other house guest would act while she was there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cook, cross-examination.
I don't have any questions for this witness. Thank you.
All right. Do any of the jurors have any questions for Ms. Sanchez? No? All right. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Watch your step.
So we probably have about an hour left of court tonight.
Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Based on what we overheard the two attorneys, prosecution defense.
Good afternoon, Judge. We'd call Nicole Mobley.
Nicole Mobley.
Just going to cross Nicole. You guys want me? You want to look at this?
Ms. Mobley, if you would step forward and raise your right hand, please, ma'am.
They said, who's going to cross Nicole? And they're like,
Just going right up to that.
See if they have any cross.
Right there's fine for right now. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
You're a little nervous, right?
Just a little bit.
It's okay. You're not the only one, okay?
Okay.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name?
Nicole Mobley, Nicole Mobley.
And Miss Mobley, where do you reside?
Lorson Ranch.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Me?
I'm going to show you what's been introduced into evidence as People's Exhibit 4. Recognize this at all?
Yeah, it's my neighborhood.
Let me see if I can get this thing over here.
Sounds like this might be a neighbor to the family.
We're going to put it on the easel here, and I don't know if can you still see it?
Yeah.
And I don't need you to be precise, but can you just point out the general area of where you live, if you can see this in People's Exhibit 4? Here you go. I'm going to give you this.
I'd be over here somewhere.
So for the record, you pointed to Mumford Drive in between Tarbell Drive?
Yeah, I'm on Decker, but the school's right here, and my house would be like over in the section kind of by it.
Okay, great. How long have you lived there?
2 years? No, I'm sorry. That's way off. 3.5, almost 4 years.
So you were living there back in January of 2020?
Yes.
And while you were living in that neighborhood, did you have an occasion to meet someone named Letecia Stauch?
I did.
And tell the jury about how you met her.
So I think the first time I had posted a thing on our neighborhood page, I was looking for clothes for my niece that just moved in with us. And I had got a message from a Harley Hunt is who I thought I was speaking to. And then they offering some free clothes for us. And when the person actually showed up to my house to drop off those clothes, it was Letecia.
Okay. You talked about a neighborhood. How did you describe it? Was it a Facebook page?
Yeah, we have a lot of neighborhood like Facebook pages that are just for people in the neighborhood. I don't know if I put it on the residence page or like one of the for sale pages, but it's just everybody in the neighborhood.
And I know you're a little nervous, but only one of us can talk at a time.
Mm-hmm.
She's typing everything we're saying, believe it or not. And so if you could just wait until I'm done and I'll wait till you're done.
Okay.
We'll do the best we can.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So someone named Harley Hunt responds to your page. Is that what happens?
Yes. I assumed it was Harley Hunt.
And did you then make arrangements for them to come by your house?
Yeah, to come drop them off at my house.
Okay. So tell us about that. Did someone come by your house?
Yes, Letecia came by my house.
And what happened when she came to your house?
She knocked on the door. Initially, she was just supposed to leave them on the porch, but I ended up being at home. She knocked on the door. I opened it. She handed me the clothes, and we had a conversation.
And do you see Letecia Stauch in the courtroom today?
I do, yes.
Could you point her out and describe what she's wearing?
She's sitting at the end of that desk in a pinkish purple shirt.
Okay. Only female seated at the defense table?
Yes.
May the record reflect identification of Ms. Stauch subject to cross-examination.
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
So what happened when the defendant came to your residence?
She came to the door, handed me the clothes, and then we just had a conversation. It was a little weird. I didn't know her. I had never met her before that. And I was kind of off put first because I thought I was meeting a Harley Hunt. And it obviously wasn't, but she didn't introduce herself as to who she was. And it was just kind of weird because I didn't know her and she was kind of just talking to me about life stuff. And like we had been best friends.
Okay.
So it was a little off-putting, but.
And do you remember about when this may have happened?
It was right before Christmas, probably December 20-something. It was before Christmas of 2019.
So it would have been December 2019?
Yeah.
Was it the Christmas before you later learned that Gannon went missing?
Yes.
Okay. And so was there anything unusual about this initial contact other than it seemed like she was spilling her guts to you?
No, not really.
Okay. Did you have more conversation with her?
I did. She wrote me later on telling me she had forgot a pair of pants. That was just nothing. The next time was a couple days later on Christmas. She had sent me another message.
And what was that message about? Do you recall?
Yeah, she said that she was going on a work trip, that she worked for an airline and she needed to go to a training, and had asked if my teenage niece wanted to go over and basically watch the house, but also hang out with her teenage daughter.
And so did you learn that she had a teenage daughter when you initially met her at your house in December of 2019?
I kind of put it together considering she wasn't Harley Hunt, and that's who I was that was the name of the person I was messaging, and she kept saying my daughter in those messages.
And did you have a teenage daughter?
My niece was a teenager.
Okay. And so did the conversation come up back in December 2019 that, hey, maybe your niece and my daughter could get together, that kind of thing?
Yeah, she said that her daughter Harley didn't really have any friends because she didn't go to school here. So she needed somebody to watch her house and help with the dogs, and that it would be maybe a good way for them to kind of hang out too.
Right. And did that ever happen?
I didn't feel comfortable with it because I didn't know her and I wasn't sending my niece to somebody else's house.
And was your niece living with you at that time?
She was, yes.
All right. When was the next time you heard from Miss Stauch?
The next time I heard from her, or the next time I had any communication?
Well, either. Had you talked to her, let me just ask it this way. Had you talked to her prior to Gannon being reported missing?
No.
So it was just...
Or not that I recall.
Sorry.
I don't think so.
And so how did you learn that Gannon Stauch, her stepson, went missing?
There was a post on one of those neighborhood pages saying that, I don't remember exactly what it said. It's been a long time. I just remember there was a post that went up saying that her son or stepson didn't return home from a friend's house, and basically asking for help if anybody had seen him or could help find him.
And so prior to seeing that post, had you and the defendant talked about the defendant's family situation, who was living in their house, how many kids and that kind of thing?
Not that I remember.
You only remember her talking about Harley, the teenage daughter?
I remember when she was at my house that first time, that weird conversation that we kind of had was talking about weird things, just like, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. No, because that, I do remember. So when she was asking if we would come and stay, or if my niece could come and stay at the house, she had mentioned her husband works nights and is in the Army and is gone a lot. She mentioned Harley because of hanging out with my niece. And then she mentioned, I think it was the little girl, talking about her going to Grand Mountain, but I think that's it. I don't remember hearing anything else.
And when you say talking about weird things, what do you mean?
I just mean, I didn't know her, but she kind of talked to me like I knew her. And just being frustrated at home life. It was a very short conversation. It was just, I think to me, the reason it's weird is because if I don't know someone, I don't usually start talking about things like I know them and like I should know what they're talking about.
So was it like, way too much information here?
Yeah, kind of. And I'm used to, in the neighborhood, we do porch drop-offs. So you don't usually have to communicate with the person. They drop it off and leave. I'm not a very sociable person when I'm in the comfort of my home. And it was just kind of, thanks, have a great night kind of thing. Not, I want to stand on the porch in the cold for 20 minutes.
Gotcha. So let's talk about when you see the post about Gannon being missing. What did you do next?
Told my husband, and he just knows how I am. So he was like, do you want to go? Do you want to go help look? So we did. We got dressed in warm clothes and we headed out and went to start looking.
And would this have been on the night of January 27th, 2020?
Yes.
And approximately what time was it that you went out looking? Do you remember?
I don't remember what time we started. I don't remember.
Was it nighttime out?
It was nighttime.
What was the weather like?
Freezing. I think it started snowing while we were out there because I remember being soaking wet and it was absolutely freezing out.
Was there any plans or any areas that people were looking? I mean, this post that you saw, did you have a game plan on where you were going to go look and things like that?
So there weren't really any plans like communicated with anybody. I think thinking of the age of the boy, it was, let's go look by the school, let's go to any of the parks in the neighborhood, and then let's go look over by the house. And then we have these like ditches that are in the neighborhood that a lot of kids like to go down and play under. So it was just kind of staying in that general area. Okay, if my, kid was to go roaming off and hanging out with friends, where would they go? So we just kind of went based off of that.
And so you indicated that you thought it might be a good idea to go look at his house, Gannon's house. Would that have been 6627?
Yes.
And people's before there, we have a big label that says 6627 Mandan Drive. Is that the area we're talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of like field where you can see there's not really any houses. Majority of what we did was in those fields.
And so were there other people out looking in the neighborhood?
There was a bunch.
No, you probably didn't count them, but approximately how many?
I'd say 40 at least. I mean, there were people out there with drones. There was a lot of people.
Flashlights?
Flashlights, vehicles, drones, people on feet. Excuse me. There were some people out there with dogs. I mean, it was like an unorganized / organized search is what it looked like.
That whole neighborhood activated.
And so best you know, was everyone reacting to this Facebook post about, it's okay, about a child being missing in the neighborhood?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
The neighborhood's kind of coming together?
Yes.
And did you talk to other people as you're searching and you're all searching for the same person?
Oh, yeah.
When you're in the area of 6627 Mandan Drive, did you stop by and see Miss Stauch, or was Miss Stauch out searching in that area, or do you remember?
I didn't stop by her house. I thought it was kind of weird because we're all out here looking, and it was very obvious that she was at her house and not out here looking.
Why was that obvious?
I'm trying to remember exactly how. I mean, there was a lot of people that were going up to her house, and she was opening the door, and you could just tell lights were on. I mean, plus I met a majority of everybody that was out there, and none of them were her.
And obviously you had met her before, and so did you tie it together that Gannon Stauch was living in the same house with Letecia Stauch?
Yeah, as soon as the post went up on the neighborhood page, I recognized her right away.
All right. Was she a picture of her on the post?
Not on the post, like her Facebook picture.
Oh, okay. And so as you're out that neighborhood, did you ever see any police cars coming to 6627 Mandan Drive?
I don't remember seeing any when I was there.
How long were you out there, do you think?
Hours. We were out until about 2, 3 a.m.
Oh, so you went in that into the early morning hours of the 28th.
Oh, yeah. By the time we got home, we had mud all the way up our legs, our arms. We were covered.
And were people out there pretty consistently until the early morning hours looking, or?
It died down a lot, probably around midnight. I mean, it did get really cold. If I remember correctly, I think it started snowing. So some people, I think, did have to kind of start giving up. So at that time, like, as long as we went, there was probably maybe a handful of us at that point.
All right. And so into the 28th of January, 2020, did you continue to follow the progress of the case, the Facebook postings and things like that?
I did to an extent.
Tell us about that.
I I tried not to read into, or I guess look too much into the drama stuff that was going on through it. I tried to focus on the facts of things that were going on or posts that were made directly from the defendant.
A lot of drama and speculation and things like that on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Was the media reporting pretty heavily on Gannon's disappearance as well?
Yes.
Were you watching that?
Yes, those things I would.
Did you reach out to Ms. Stauch and offer to help or do anything in any way?
That was another thing that kind of set me off. The night that he went missing, I had sent her a message. I cannot remember what I said in it, but I remember it was something trying to get information like where we should be looking, and she blocked me immediately.
What kind of message did you send her? Was it a text? Was it social media? Was it a phone message? How did you try to reach her?
Facebook Messenger.
And prior to that, had you been messaging on Facebook?
For the previous times that we spoke, it was Facebook, yes.
And did you ever talk to her about why she blocked you or anything like that?
Well, she blocked me, so I couldn't. I know my husband sent her a message saying, I don't understand why you blocked my wife. We're just trying to help you. Is there something you have against her? Like, what's going on? But we never got a response.
She rolled her eyes.
Did you continue to progress or watch the progress in the investigation to see whether or not Gannon was found, that kind of thing?
I did. I also, any search party that they had, we had like blue ribbon ceremonies, different things that we did. I participated in everything.
Do you recall seeing the defendant, Ms. Stauch, being interviewed on KKTV during this time frame?
I do.
What do you recall from that interview?
Can you, as in, like, what do you mean? I don't know how I'm supposed to answer that one.
No, you answer it truthfully. I mean, did that spark anything and want you to be involved in the investigation based on what you saw her say during that interview?
The first thing that stood out to me, I think, with that interview is she didn't face the camera. And then there was a lot of, in my opinion, it sounded like her speaking in past tense when she would mention Gannon. But I also thought it was really weird that a majority of that newscast was her worrying about what people thought about her instead of worrying about where Gannon was.
And did that trigger your personality as to want to know more or find out more about what had happened to Gannon based on everything you're seeing, not only this interview, but the post on social media and things like that?
Most definitely.
Was there a point in time where you tried to reach out to Ms. Stauch again via some Facebook pages?
I did, yes.
And what kind of Facebook pages did you reach out to? Do you recall?
Do you mean which one of hers or what? What do you mean?
Well, was there a Facebook page called Support E or Ms. Stauch or something?
Yeah, there were several pages. I don't know if I communicated with her on any of her responses that were happening on those pages. I might have made comments to other people, but I don't remember if I communicated with her on those. I just know that I reached out to her on personal Facebook Messenger.
Is this the same Facebook page that you were blocked on previously or another Facebook page?
Another one.
Do you recall the name of that?
I think it might have been, it was either Letecia Stauch or T Stauch.
Okay. Did you get a response?
No,
Leticia's
not
looking
initially.
at the laptop with their lawyer.
When you say
on
not
Facebook.
initially, does that mean you eventually got a response?
Yes, I ended up creating a fake Facebook page. And
Talk about that. Why did you do that?
I wanted to see if I could get her to respond to me. And I knew she wouldn't on my original page.
And why did you want her to respond to you?
I felt like the conversation that we had on my front porch the first time that I met her, I kind of could figure out ways to get her to communicate with me based off of her, like the kind of things that she wanted to talk about. So I figured if I wrote her on a different page and could get her to start talking, I mean, if I worded things properly, I might be able to get her to start talking to me.
So did that happen?
It did.
Tell the jury about that. What did you put in the Facebook page messenger to get her to start talking to you?
I went on and kind of based it off, or started writing things based off of things that I had seen in the news or on social media, like things that she was saying. She had a lot of, I think, hate for Landon. And I think that I kind of started off with a combination of agreeing with her about things that involve Landon. And I also, there was a video that came out about a truck in a shadow. And I also wrote her saying I believed her about the shadow under the truck.
And is this video the video of when Ms. Stauch and Gannon come back on the afternoon of January 27th, 2020, and you see a leg drop on the other side of the truck?
Yes.
And it's posted on the internet?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's the video, yes.
The shadow is actually a leg coming down?
Yes.
And Ms. Stauch was saying who did that leg belong to?
She told me it was Gannon.
Did you eventually continue communications with Ms. Stauch via text?
Yeah, so I continued on Facebook Messenger, and then eventually we did make it onto a texting app.
Tell us about the texting app. Whose idea was it to use a texting app?
She had asked me to download a texting app on my phone so that we could talk more privately.
And was this on February 19th of 2020?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Did you go to the police department fairly shortly after this string of text messages?
I don't remember how long it was, but I feel like it was pretty soon after that, yes.
If a report indicates that you went to the police department on Friday, February 21st, 2020?
Sounds right.
Would that be accurate?
Yes.
And when you went there, did you take your phone with you?
I did.
And did you provide your phone to law enforcement so they can take screenshots of this text messages that you're having?
I did. They took it for several weeks.
And would you recognize those text messages if you saw them again?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
This witness is doing her own detective work.
Is People's Exhibit 30 or 233. And within that exhibit, there's 33 pages. Do you see those?
I do, yes.
If you could take a moment and go through those 33 pages, and I'll ask you some follow-up questions.
So yeah, Letecia has been quite involved with the lawyer during this testimony. Not sure why, but maybe we might see some cross on this about some things that we haven't seen on other witnesses.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to do that?
Yes.
I want to talk about the first 31 pages.
Okay.
Are those messages that you exchanged with the defendant, Ms. Stauch, on February 19th, a Wednesday, from 9:59 in the morning to 11:48 in the morning?
Yes.
The second to last page, is that a text message that you exchanged with a Harley Hunt?
Yes.
And is that your text message as well, the one to Harley Hunt?
It is.
The last page, page 33, is that a text message that you sent to your husband?
It is.
Is the message that you wrote to your husband accurate? Is that what you said after this text screen that you had with the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Are now back to the original 33 pages. I think I've already asked you that. Is that a true and accurate depiction of the conversation you had with Ms. Stauch back on February 19th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Move to admit People's Exhibit 233.
Defense? Objection. Exhibit 233 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Request to publish?
You may. Go ahead.
Now we get a text exchange back and forth.
You can zoom in. Thanks. You can either look at the TV screens or actually look at the notebook, whatever you're more comfortable doing.
Okay.
We're on to page 1 here. Before we talk about page 1, what was your motivation here? Why were you trying to get her to talk?
Sometimes I get this impression of myself that I can get people to tell me things that other people can't. So I just wanted to give it a shot.
When you're
She's got
talking to
skills.
the defendant here, had Gannon been found yet?
No.
Were you trying to find Gannon?
Yes.
Were you trying to get information from her so that Gannon can be found?
Yes.
The top of the text says Barbie girl. You know who Barbie girl is?
It was Letecia.
And did you know that that was her name through the Facebook messaging before you started this text app?
I didn't know that she didn't tell me the name, but it was the phone number.
And it says Wednesday at 9:59. Is that approximately when this all started?
Yes.
And that would have been February 19th?
Yes.
So when it says to verify it's you, what was your real first name, LOL? Is that Ms. Stauch talking?
Yes, sir.
And prior to getting this string of messages, were you certain that that was Ms. Stauch who you were talking to?
Yes, sir. We did a thing on previous messages where I had asked her something. I don't remember what it was, but to validate it was her, that only she would know, and she did that.
And is she now validating who you are?
Yes, sir.
I.e. Nicole is what you respond?
Yes.
So if we can scroll down a little bit. And again, everything that you say is going to be in green, right?
Yes.
She's saying, yep. Go ahead, and what does she say?
That she was realizing who I was, verifying that that's.
She say, okay, so listen, I didn't hurt my son or kill him or anything. I want you to know that. I also want to know that I can trust you on here.
Yes.
How did you take that?
I guess kind of in a couple ways. That obviously she knows something, but that I needed to work really hard to gain her trust, and maybe I could get her to tell me something. I don't know.
And so how did you respond? Go ahead and read that.
100%. If you look up both my real profile and my fake on any of the Gannon pages, you will see I've been pointing out the shadow and I have not bashed you.
So is that what we're talking about, the leg drop that we see January 27th when they get home?
Yes, sir.
And why did you tell her this?
So there was a lot of drama and things that were going on. People trying to zoom, like on social media, zooming in and trying to determine if there was a shadow or a leg. Because there was a lot of, well, we didn't see him come home. So she, I think at one point was involved in some of that communication, trying to push that. So I knew if I reached out and said, I believe you, this is what I saw, that she would start to trust me.
And so just so we're clear, there's a video that was posted on the internet that sees the defendant and Gannon get in a truck and leave about 10, 13, and 7.
Yes, sir.
And then there's also a video that comes back. The truck backs up into the driveway. You can't see the other side of the truck. All right?
Correct.
You see Ms. Stauch get out of the driver's side.
Yes.
And then that's when you see this leg drop on the other side. And there were people saying Gannon never came home with her, so she must have did something.
Yeah, there was a lot of videos, people circling it and saying that's not a shadow or that's not a leg, trying to say that some people thought he came home and some people didn't. So it was a lot of back and forth on that.
So that's what's going on in social media. And so that's how did you want to gain her trust by saying, hey, I'm with you on this, that type of thing?
Yeah, she wanted to make sure she could trust me. And the only thing I could think of is if I went along with the lines of certain things that were going on in the moment and I was on her side for that part, that I would gain that trust.
Okay. And so she responds, thank you. I do need some help, though, and I could help you in return. Before you think, this isn't anything bad or anything like that. You recall that?
I do.
What did you think that was all about?
I didn't really know where she was going with it. Let me think on that. I'm sorry.
Well, we can scroll down and see what your response is.
Yeah.
So now we're on page 2 of that exhibit. So your response is, just to show you what I've said to my own family in the past about all this. Can't make out. Looks like you attached something to the text.
Yeah, I think I attached something that like a message I might have sent to somebody else talking about it. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was just like, look, I'm showing you. I even told somebody in my family I believed you.
Is that again to gain her trust?
Yes.
So how does she respond after you do that? Second here until we get to the right.
Did you want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. If I had did this, I couldn't have gone but so far and they would have found him. But they are focusing on me wasting valuable time.
He says, thank you.
Thank you.
And then what do you say?
Okay, what do you need help with? I definitely don't think you would ask me to do anything bad, so it's okay.
And what does she say?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So I want you to tell the truth.
And you respond, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go to page 3. And some of these are kind of repetitive just because of the way they did the screenshots, so bear with me. So you say okay, and then what does she say?
Someone was in the home when we got back. I gave this to police at my initial interview, but I thought he was being defiant and just going against his dad's wishes, leaving. I blacked out.
What do you take from that?
Well, I didn't believe it. But I don't know. I didn't believe what she was saying. I was kind of just waiting for a story to come.
Is this the first you had heard about someone else being in the house?
It is. As far as I remember, yes.
First you heard of her blacking out?
Yes.
Up until February 19th, 2020, did you just think Gannon was missing, or what was your thoughts about what had happened to Gannon?
I had hoped he was just missing, but from the very first night, I just had a bad feeling.
We can scroll down, please.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Oh, so you respond, so blacked out before he left, because I'm a mom and I know how that is. It says, I've done it and reacted. Do you mean to say reacted?
Yes.
With my kids and situations. I just did it when my house flooded. What do you mean by that?
So I think in my head, I was thinking maybe a situation happened and she overreacted and something might have happened. So I wanted to kind of play on that and say, look, I'm a mom. I've overreacted in situations. My house had just flooded. So I could have overreacted in that situation. So I was just kind of, I think, trying to play along with it.
You didn't know what was going to come next, I take it?
I had no idea.
And so what does she say next?
I am beginning to think that the guy was still in the home when police came. Either way, he popped back up with Gannon, so I'm assuming they were in the storage room. He threatened me, and I put them girls upstairs to protect them.
She says
Yeah.
And you asked her who was the guy?
Yes.
How'd she respond?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. He took a suitcase and some of our things and Gannon's things, and I was crying. Then he hit me across the head.
So is this the first you heard of a suitcase?
Very first time, yeah.
And how did you respond to that? And why did you respond the way you did?
This is why the cops are being the way they are. They knew you didn't do it, and that's why they are being so quiet. I knew you were innocent. So I responded in that way because, once again, I'm trying to keep her thinking that I'm on her side so that she'll continue telling me more.
So how does she respond to you saying that?
Someone had to see him leaving with a suitcase and G. I don't know if she, I assume was he, was hurt when he did. I was scared. Someone has to be a witness to having seen this guy. Someone had to and is scared.
So as you're out there, night of the 27th, searching fields and the ditches and the whole neighborhood around their residence, anybody carrying a suitcase walking around?
Not at all. I would have questioned that.
Would anybody stop that person, strange man in the neighborhood?
In a heartbeat. Our neighborhood has cameras everywhere, and you can't be a guy selling solar panels walking up to somebody's door without somebody posting, "Who's this weirdo at my door?"
We can zoom in on the next page, please.
I really wonder what Letecia's whispering to her lawyer, and I'm wondering if it's another story, another lie.
So she said someone has to be a witness to having seen this guy. Someone had to and is scared. And you said, can I ask you this? You think Landon sent this guy?
Yes.
How does she respond?
I will do anything to find that person, but I don't know how. She could have, and then things may have went wrong.
Now, had you gotten to know Landon and Al and Lena and the rest of the family from efforts that were going on in the neighborhood to try to find Gannon?
I remember, I think I met a few of them maybe once for a very small amount of time. I think there was an aunt and Lena at one of the events that I got to play with Lena and do a few things with, but I didn't get to know them, no.
Was there a church in the neighborhood that was heavily involved in the search effort, and people would meet at the church and discuss things and trying to find Gannon?
Yeah, we would do it at the church, but we also had a point when right off of Mandan, there's that field, and we actually set up tables with food and snacks and waters, and everybody would gather there and do search parties. And I think that's where I did most of my communication, the one time that I think I spoke with a couple of them.
So why did you ask her if she thought Landon was involved in this?
It was made very clear, and I don't remember how, if it was social media or what it was, but that she didn't like Landon. So I think I was trying to play off of, okay, well, she doesn't like her, so if I start talking about Landon, it pulls her in more because I'm kind of siding with her.
Okay. We can scroll down, please.
We need to get her on the show.
And you say, I've been thinking she sent someone to get both kids.
Yes.
Same thing?
Same thing.
You're trying to draw more information out of her?
Yeah. And that's what I had met in the previous, when she had said things may have went wrong in the previous one, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if I play off of, okay, maybe Landon sent somebody down here and it didn't go right. They were only able to get the one kid and, you know what I mean, kind of played it off.
And then she responds to that, says, but Lena was gone, so he couldn't.
Yes.
And did you know who Lena was?
At this point, yeah, I did.
Was that Gannon's 8-year-old little sister?
Yes.
And you asked her, how did he get into the house? Did he force his way, or did he act like he was there for a reason? Do you recall asking her that?
I do, yes.
Trying to get more information?
Yes.
And how did she respond to that? Can you read that for us?
When we went in through the garage, I went into the bathroom. So either already in there or came gate. Maybe G had seen him before. That's why he kept checking the gate to make sure it was locked.
Okay. And then what's the next thing you asked?
Do you think the detectives believe you but have to act the way they are so this guy doesn't know they are onto him?
Where'd that come from?
Again, just I think I had heard things of her talking about, I did actually, I think some of it might have even been in the news. She was really against those detectives. So I wanted to play off of, well, maybe the detectives are just doing this as a ploy. They're going to try and make it seem like you so that nobody's focusing on this other person.
Doesn't make any sense though, does it? Does that make any sense to you as to why the police would do that?
No, not at all.
So are you just basing on things that she posted on Facebook about the incompetence of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office or something like that?
I'm playing off of anything that has either been said by her on Facebook or the thing on the news.
Okay. And how does she respond to that?
Not sure. I think they don't have anything on Ring cameras. Someone had to see him leave. I need a witness. Any amount. Do whatever for them if they come forward. They need to start looking for the guy and posting it on our state's. It's just on our states. I don't know.
Okay. And then how did you respond to that?
Oh my God, I'm telling you, I think Landon did this to try to get her kids back, and it went wrong. So now she is using this to get money for her nasty habits. Poor Gannon, I really hope he isn't being tortured.
Where are you getting this information from?
Posts. There were things that were going around about Landon potentially having a certain kind of background. Why was Gannon and Lena in, out their custody anyways? So I kind of just played off of that because, again, I knew that she didn't like Landon.
Were these posts that were in this support T Stauch website or Facebook page?
I'm pretty
people
sure
were supporting her.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
And how did she respond to that? Can we scroll down, please?
And get off me. He would have been found close by if it was the killer. I couldn't have went far. I think something went wrong now. It's been too long. She would have had him come back and then tried to say we were bad parents by now.
Now, what did you think she meant? Can we please leave that up? What did you think she meant when she said he may be close by if I was the killer?
Object she can.
Yeah,
That's a speculation.
It goes to her response to this. Right?
Well, no, she can't testify as to what somebody else was thinking. She can testify as to what somebody else said and why she undertook a certain course of action, but she can't testify to what somebody else was thinking.
What was going through your mind when you heard her say, if I would have killed him, he would have been close by?
Just trying to, I'm trying to think of how to answer that the right way without going against it.
Careful
Was
line
this the
here.
first time you ever heard her say anything about if I was the killer?
Yes, 100%. I'd never heard anything about him being killed prior to this.
Can we scroll down now, please, to see what your response is? So you respond, did Gannon seem like he knew him? Or was he acting scared when he was talking?
Taking him.
Taking him, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Is that how you responded?
Yes.
Now, above that, she says, I think something went wrong now. It's been too long. She would have had him come back and tried to say we were bad parents by now. Now, I think he may be out of state. All that?
I do, yes.
Is this the first time you ever heard her say anything about Gannon being out of state?
Yes.
And did you later learn that Gannon's body was found in the state of Florida?
I did.
Go to the next page, please. So she responded to when you asked if Gannon knew him, he didn't act like he knew him. Do you recall that?
I do, yes.
And what else did she say?
The guy did say friends with Uncle Matt, but I don't know if that is real. He doesn't have an uncle named that on our side.
And how did you respond to that?
Oh my God, see, this is what I was thinking. And I told my husband, I think bio mom did this. Does Landon have anyone she knows named Matt that she says is like a brother?
And again, why are you saying this?
Again, just to continue going along the lines of what I think she wants to hear.
And how did she respond to that?
I need a witness that the guy left. I will do anything. I'm not asking you. I'm asking if you know anyone who will. I will give them my life, a reward, whatever. Anything to get them to expand the search.
And how did you respond to that?
Did he ask where the little girl was, or what did he say to you?
So he said, is that your daughter at the door? You recall that?
I do, yes.
And then says, but I sent her to the mailbox.
Yes.
Do you know who she's referring to when she says Dot?
Yes, Lena. Lena.
I'm losing my mind because they need to look for the description of the guy. They need to expand and put up alerts in states. My heart is breaking.
Yes.
What was going through your mind at this time as far as how you're going to respond to get more information?
I think this time it might have taken me a little bit to kind of think about it. I guess I had kind of got thrown off because earlier she had said, when I had made when I had said something about maybe Landon had something to do with this and intended to come get both kids, the defendant's response was, but couldn't because Lena wasn't home. But then all of a sudden it's, well, Lena, is that your daughter at the door? So I was just kind of trying to think of things to try and play off kind of what she was saying. But I definitely was really at this point like, okay, something's not right here.
We can scroll down, please. So go ahead and read what you say there in green at 30 now on page 13.
Okay, let me think on this. On a way to help. I've been on the news and I know I can't just all of a sudden say that, but I will help figure this out or something. Who can help? Just give me a little time to think. I will help. Anything to get him found. I'm so sorry to go through that and then be accused. I can't imagine how you feel. I'm here for you.
And then she responds, you were on the news?
Yes.
Were you on the news?
I was, yes.
What were you doing on the news and what were you saying?
I was one of the searches I think that we had at the school. We did a search and maybe it wasn't a search. I think it was like a ribbon thing. We did a bunch of blue ribbons that we put all over the school. And the news had asked me to go up and speak about searching, like locations and things.
Were the blue ribbons, what were those all about? Why were there blue ribbons?
We turned the whole neighborhood blue for Gannon.
Is that his favorite color?
I think it was his favorite color, but he also loves Sonic.
We can scroll down, please. And she says, and whatever they need, they're going to have to pay me for defamation, civil rights violations, etc. But for now, I need him home. I need my boy home.
Yes.
How did you respond to that? Let's go to the next page, please.
Yes, my husband and I went out the first night till, I think it says 2 a.m.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Then I went out every day for a week looking.
Now, when you say that, how does she respond?
That's when the guy left. He took a suitcase of things and made Gannon wrapped in his cover. He hit me in the head, and then I don't know if they got in a car or what. When I got back up, I was in complete shock and crying. And when I told the police they think I'm crazy, that someone could have been there when they arrived. In my questioning, they will like, no way. In my questioning, we like, no way the police didn't know he was there. I mean, heck, I didn't know.
So was she trying to tell you that Gannon and this man were in the house while the police were in the house?
Yes.
How'd you respond to that?
As in the message?
Yes.
Okay. So they never even tried to look into any of what you said. WTF is wrong with law enforcement. They could have found him, but to me, they didn't even try.
You're not saying welcome to Fruta when you say WTF, I take it?
No.
Just wanted to clarify.
That's what I usually mean by it.
I also didn't know if I could say the other word, so.
WTF is fine. If we can go to the next page, please.
Fruta, I believe, is a city in Colorado.
So she responds to that by saying that's when the guy left. He took a suitcase of things and made Gannon wrapped in a cover. Yeah, we need to go.
I thought those pages looked the same.
One more duplicate because we didn't catch all the
Yes.
screenshots. So in response to your WTF comment, she says, nope. They were it was someone you were cheating with. Dumb stuff. I'm telling you, when this is said and done, I will have a heck of a lawsuit from them. Do you recall her saying that?
I do, yes.
What does she continue on to say?
I've already been asked by some attorneys if my innocence prevails, then to be the first to see them. I even took a lie detector test. I wouldn't ask if I didn't need the help. I am trusting that you don't say anything about our convo. I am innocent. He is my son.
What did you think about when she says, I hope that you wouldn't say anything about our conversation or comment?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Well, what was going through your mind when she says, I am trusting that you don't say anything about our combo?
That she's probably getting ready to open up and say more.
Did you get the impression that she was going to be asking you to do something at this point?
I did, yes.
What was that?
Lie for her.
Go to the next page. So you respond. How?
I did meet a guy that night that freaked me out so bad I had to leave with strangers to get away from him. I wish I knew how to show you what he looked like, but I don't have pictures.
Tell us about that. Did you meet some guy out there while you're searching?
I did.
What was that all about? Tell the jury.
All that was about is I was out there with my husband, but my husband ended up in a different area than I was. And some guy came up that I think he was using a drone, started hitting on me. And I felt really uncomfortable. So luckily a truck with some ladies in it that were out searching showed up and they let me get in the truck with them and they took me to another part to get away from him.
This guy have a big green suitcase that he was rolling around?
He did not. Or a little boy next to him.
Is this what you're talking about? Are you trying to lure her in by giving her some truth?
So I kind of had a feeling what she was getting ready to ask me or get more in detail of asking me. So I was trying to give her kind of that, oh, well, I did see somebody that made me uncomfortable.
So she says it may have been him, but he left with a suitcase and G was walking and took his cover.
Yes.
Did you ever ask her, what are you talking about? What is G leaving with a man and taking a cover?
I don't remember if I asked. I know that. I think I just played into everything. I don't think I asked anything specific at very many points.
Do you know who she was referring to when she said G?
Yes.
Is that Dan?
Yes.
Scroll down, please. How do you respond to that?
I will never repeat this conversation. I promise you, I believe you. Sorry. Can I have a minute?
You all right? Yeah.
It's just that.
There's some, let me get you some tissues.
Oh, there's some. Could you read it?
Sure. Did you say this was hours later, and I told my husband, this guy that creeped me out, what if he had something to do with it? Then hours later came out to help search, just to be close to the house to see what was happening. And I told him this that night before I knew any of this.
Yes.
You recall saying that?
I do, yes.
You actually think that?
No.
Why'd you tell her this?
Again, just to keep her going. Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
We can go down to the next one, please. Now, did she actually send you a picture during this conversation?
Yes.
And what is that picture of? Do you recall?
Gannon's bed and his blanket.
Is that why you're getting emotional? Because you saw this picture coming up?
Yes.
And I apologize for that.
It's okay.
What did she talk to you about when she sent you this picture?
She said, this is the cover he left with. This is online now because it showed G back at the house with me timestamped. What if you just said you remembered something suspicious after seeing this picture? And explained the description and you didn't think was relevant until now because the kid had the same cover. I swear to you, I didn't do this. I just need help with someone getting this out there so they can start posting in other states.
Do you know how Gannon was found?
I do, yes.
Know that he was found in a suitcase?
I do, yes.
How did you respond to this?
That's a possibility. Do you remember around what time it was?
And what did she say?
After police left, so it was last night, maybe one or so. I didn't know he was still there until police had left. And on some people were out searching, he could have blended right in.
We can scroll down, please. Did she also go on to say, especially if cars were around in the area, they had to get in a car at some point?
Yes.
Did you see anybody, kids getting in a car while you're out searching?
Not kids in this aspect, no.
Like when you're out searching?
Yes.
Is that all over the post?
Yes.
Pictures of Gannon?
I think that I also clicked on her Facebook and looked him up too.
So you respond, yeah, there was a lot of cars and people everywhere.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. Well, not a lot of cars. There was a few cars, a lot of people though.
And then what did she say next at 11:11 a.m. on the 19th?
I wouldn't ask this if I didn't want to find our son. I'm cornered because of no ring activity.
Did you know what she meant by that?
Yes.
And what did that mean to you when she says that?
Just there was no footage of him leaving or any man walking out with a suitcase and a blanket and a little boy.
So no footage of that on the internet posted on Facebook pages?
No, and none on anybody's rings.
If we can scroll down, please. Looks like you asked a couple questions here. Could you go ahead and read that for the jury?
Yes. So this was before the cops searched the house. So he was making Gannon hide with him and be quiet. That's not only scary, but also really sick. Do you remember? I think it's supposed to say what he looks like. Tall, short, skinny, fat. So I can think of a way to say it when they ask details.
Why are you saying that?
To play along. Keep her going.
Do you want her to think that you're going to come up with this story and tell the police about what she's asking you to say?
I wanted her to believe this, yes.
What did you say next?
So I was in the field by your house from about 12 to 2 and could see your house most of the time. So now I need to think really hard about this. because I saw a lot of people out, and now I'm wondering if I could have seen anything. It was freezing cold and we were exhausted, but there were so many people out there.
How did she respond to that?
Yes, he's Hispanic, shorter, 5'7" or 5'8", about 175 pounds. He has like either a tattoo or something on his face, maybe teardrop or something like that, but a marking. He had on a jacket. I don't remember the color. But Gannon left with him in that cover, so that stuck out to you when you seen it online. Just recently. Yes, he stayed in the house while they were there, but I didn't know until later. But he took suitcase with them. Beware, I saw him laid it up before he hit me in the head, because I'm sure he loaded the suitcase in the car and put Gannon in somehow.
Then how did you respond to that?
I wish I could remember that night better. Like a car in front of your house or close, because I parked on your street a few houses down to get out and search the field.
And then when she says, at this point, I just need the main info out there. Again, I only ask because it's our child. They are looking in all the wrong places. Driving me crazy. Caller saying that?
I do, yes.
Is she leading up to something? I know we're going to get to this question she's going to ask you down the road, but at the time that you see this text come across, are you anticipating her asking you to do something?
Yes.
Go to the next page, please. She says, most people want to always help, but I know this is tricky. I mean, if it's money or whatever, name it. I want them searching the right way.
Yes.
What'd you take from that?
That she's getting ready to ask me to do something and offer money for it.
And how did you respond to that?
I want to help, anything to find Gannon. My daughter knows him, and this is destroying her. And I feel broken now that I've been searching and doing what I can. And I met Lena, and that made me break down. So I am about to meet with my dad to help him put together a chair. He just got a new house. He is nosy when I'm on my way on my phone, so I only want to message when he isn't next to me. So if I'm slow to reply, that's why. I don't want anyone knowing I'm talking to you, because then people get nosy. And like I said, anything we talk about is between us.
Okay. And you go on to say, I'm not even telling my husband, right?
Correct, yes.
And we can scroll down, please. He says, okay, I think that's best. You think you could do it? Let me know what you need. Gannon is who I want home. And they can turn their searches the right way. Then they could call me back in and take me seriously.
Yes.
And how did you respond to that at 11:39?
I am going to see if my first post is still up from that night, because that will prove that I was right by your house at that exact time and will help. And no, you don't need to give me anything. I just want to help get him home.
Why did you say that?
Just to keep her going. And I don't recall at this point, I might have already been in touch with law enforcement.
What do you mean by that?
I reached out. I think there was a number that we could call if we had any information, but I had reached out and they ended up having me sit down with a guy from the FBI. I think it happened around this time I don't remember though. But yeah, I met with the FBI and they kind of gave me some things to go along with as well.
Do that during this conversation, or did you make a call and keep the conversation going?
I think I made a call and then kept the conversation going.
Because what do you say at 11:39 and then she responds at 11:40?
Okay, I could help with that to say, or with what to say, and yes, I will. You guys need some help too. I'm desperate to find G.
Well, it sounds like that you guys are having pretty constant conversation based on the timestamps on here, at least within a minute of each other.
Yes.
Was that accurate?
Yes.
And she says, I'm desperate to find G. And then how did you respond to that?
You passed the polygraph, so why don't they start listening to you? I don't get it. They are dumb, and I know you passed it because they posted that you did.
Probably know what I'm going to ask now. How did you know that she took a polygraph and passed it if she did in fact do that?
Well, she had told me she was taking a polygraph, but it was posted online.
And again, were these on these pages that were support the defendant type pages?
Yes.
We can scroll down, please. And how did she respond to your polygraph question?
Well, I wanted this, and then when they call me back in, I will take that. Then they will listen. I will take a witness. I will take a witness too. So they say, let's call me back in. And then I think they will refocus on search and search differently. And then I will take results then. The police can keep you anonymous to the public.
Now, on February 19th, were you familiar where law enforcement were searching for Gannon's body?
I think so, yes.
Where was that?
I think it was like Palmer Lake or somewhere.
So did you know that as she's talking about them searching in the right place? Was the media running stories that they're searching for Gannon in Palmer Lake area?
Yes, if I recall correctly, I think this is when they were searching the Palmer Lake area and they had put like wall barrier type things up so people couldn't see that. So there was a lot of people posting speculation and it was all over the media.
Yeah. If we can scroll down, please. You say looking for my first post now, and then how does she respond?
Okay, even if you could just call Albert and tell him first. He would keep you anonymous, except to the police. Besides, it's for Gannon. I can't stop at anything to get them to refocus and find who that was.
So what were you thinking she's asking you to do when she says, call Albert?
She wanted me, in my opinion, she wanted me to call him and tell him that I
Object to speculation again.
Yeah, sustained.
What were you thinking?
Sorry.
Okay? I don't want you to talk about what you thought she was thinking.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking when she says, I want you to call Albert?
I was thinking I was supposed to call Albert and tell him that I saw a man leaving the house with a suitcase and Gannon in a blanket and give a description of a man.
Okay. And do you know Albert Stauch to be the same person who's seated right over here?
I do, yes.
Front row?
Yes.
Had you met him during this process at, again, these events for Gannon?
I think I met him once, but I definitely saw him a lot, yeah.
He was on the news as well?
Yes.
If we can go scroll down, please. So you say found it, and what are you referring to when you say found it?
I found the first post I had made.
Scroll down, please. And was that the end of your conversation with Ms. Stauch on February 19th, 2020?
That was the end of getting communication back. I had sent one more message on a different page at one point, but yes, that was it.
And she didn't respond to that?
No, she did not.
And then what do we see here on the second to last page of that exhibit, page 34? Is this a different phone or a different app that you're using to communicate with someone named Harley Hunt?
No, it's Facebook, but now I'm using my, it's Facebook Messenger, but I'm now using my account as well.
So why did you reach out to Harley Hunt?
Let me read it.
We can give this some context. Do you remember when you reached out to Harley Hunt based on what you said there?
I think this is actually the night on the 27th. This was the message that I sent. I got that response, and that's when I got blocked.
So you're reaching out to Harley Hunt. Why?
Trying to figure out where we should be searching.
You also reach out to Ms. Stauch about the same time frame.
I did. Well, I wasn't sure what account she was using because she had contacted me previously on the Harley Hunt account.
Okay.
So I initially did that, but then yes, I also tried her account as well.
And then the last page, if we can go to the last page of People's Exhibit 233. This is a text message with you and your husband. And I really want to just talk about, why did you tell your husband she wants me to lie and say I saw Gannon leave in a car with a man?
Because that's what she wanted me to do.
And is that when you went to the sheriff's office and had an interview with detectives about what we just went through?
Yes.
And you turned your phone over and let them have everything on your phone?
Yes.
No more questions, Your Honor. Thanks.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cook.
I approach and retrieve the exhibit.
First?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the only Mobley on the prosecution witness list, so it doesn't look like the husband is called to testify. Big Tiger, that's an answer to your question.
So it looks like, by the way, good afternoon. I'm Will Cook and I represent Ms. Stauch. It looks like all the information and the text messages we went over, except for the last two, it all took place on a Wednesday from 10 a.m. in the morning to about 11:48.
Sounds about right, yes.
Okay. So all this happened in a span of less than 2 hours, this back and forth.
I think so, yes.
Okay. And did you know her, not by Letecia, but you knew her by T-E-E?
I mean, I don't know that I necessarily knew her by anything at that point.
Okay. And can I approach the witness again?
You may.
So, Ms. Mobley, it looks like all of the information, the text between you and Ms. Stauch you talked about, it looks like it has a specific person, Barbie girl, a green background. And then the last text you show between you and your husband, it's listed as my love. It's got the green background. One with Harley Hunt. It doesn't have that listed up there. Was this was in fact a Facebook community post that you put out?
I think
that Harley Hunt just happened to respond to the main community post, correct?
You might be right. I can't. That might just be a post, yes.
Okay.
I know this is definitely 100% Facebook.
Okay. But you see here when your post where you're talking about it was just out walking the house for 2 hours. 3 weeks ago, it says like or reply. Then it has Harley Hunt 3 weeks ago saying thank you so much, like or reply.
Yes.
That's a community post you were making, correct?
Yeah, probably.
You
Yeah.
responded to a community post, correct?
Yes.
This wasn't just a text message just between you and Harley.
Yes. So you are correct. I was wrong on that earlier.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Wow.
thanks, Sharon.
Not much for redirect at all.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Ms. Mobley?
Yes, I do.
Oh, all right. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank
Just
you.
watch your step.
Let's see if we can hear what
Counsel
they say to
approach,
her.
please.
Okay, I really want to know if she's been released. We're going to take a different view here just for a minute of the witness stand, as we don't want to break the rules to show any of the sidebar. That was Oliver's Cross. Yes, she did a great job. 6 alternates. They do have a lot of alternates here. Yep. We need to ask her a question. Yeah, the chatting and the laughing, I thought that would lead to some questions, or maybe catch the witness in a situation that makes her look bad, but none of that happened. None of that was there. Kitty kitty bang bang. I think if don't want to peel back the curtain too far, but we have some great people that are able to contact people and find people to contact. And if she is willing, I would like to talk to the witness. Let's see, we're back on there.
You all know what I was talking with the lawyers about, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
We're going to take a little bit of an early break and send you on your way for the weekend. Again, I'm going to read this instruction in its entirety again, even though you've heard it, because we're going to have a break over the weekend, and it's a lengthy break. You have probably already guessed that there has been some public or media interest in this case. There could be more in the coming weeks. You must guard against that, as you will be required to decide this case based on the evidence presented and the instructions I give to you. Again, you can tell your friends and family that you are on this jury and how long you think it will go. You can ask for their help in avoiding exposure to stories or even opinions from others regarding this case, but you cannot otherwise discuss anything about this case with anyone, and you should not listen to any opinions regarding this case from anyone else. If someone asks you why, just tell them that the judge told you that's the way it needs to be. You can still blog or communicate with others, just not about this case. You can't do any blogging about your jury experience or communication with other jurors. You can still watch TV. You can still go on the internet. You can still patronize Amazon. But if anything regarding this case comes through your feed, change the channel, turn the page, do not give it any attention. You are not allowed to look at, read, consult, or use any material of any kind, including any newspapers, magazines, television, and radio broadcasts, dictionaries, medical, scientific, technical, religious, or law books or materials, or the internet in connection with your jury service. I want to emphasize that you must not seek or receive any information about this case from the internet, which includes all social networking, Google, Wikipedia blogs, and any other websites. You're not allowed to do any research of any kind about this case or this kind of case. I think it's supposed to be a nice weekend. Enjoy the nice weekend. Hopefully sunny. You can get out and enjoy the sun some, and some place that may have windows. So in any event, we will see you where you need to be, where you normally are in the morning on Monday morning, and be in place so that we can call the case at 9 o'clock. All rise for the jury, please.
They have a secret meeting place. You have to be where you normally are. There's a secret guy that meets them at a secret place that brings them into the courthouse every morning. Let's see Letecia here. She's tired. She's ready to end the day as well. Okay, it's let's see if there's anything that happens after the jury leaves. I don't think they have anything really to work on today. They haven't in previous breaks, and I don't anticipate anything's come up that is causing a concern right now, unless it's scheduling for Monday. Yes. He mentioned a place that has windows. One person will be going to a place that doesn't have windows.
Record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. I'm just standing because I need to stretch my legs. So we will, as I understand it, we have the coroner from Florida first thing on Monday morning.
Assuming that no flight delays or anything like that, but yes.
And how long do you think he'll take?
I would say it'll be fairly similar to, a little bit longer than Kelly Smith from this morning. A bunch of photos that we'll talk about and description of injuries. I would guess maybe hour of direct.
Okay. All right. All right. And is there anything else that we address at this point in time? Well, let me have you think about this over the weekend. Back to juror question number 1. I have observed the defendant mouthing occasional words or physical gestures like agreeing or disagreeing. Do we ignore this behavior? I have 2 options for you. One is we do nothing and don't answer that question. Or number 2 is the only evidence that you may properly consider to decide the issues in this case comes from the witness stand.
Yes. Number 2 is the right answer.
I would say
something along those lines.
I looked up and I know the case served to be the first one that the court cited that referenced Riggins. That seems to indicate observations when the defendant are something considering the confrontation clause. So my request
Go ahead.
would be to say nothing.
Well, here's, I'm sorry.
We would agree with that.
Yeah, here's the concern that I have. The case law is not entirely crystal clear on this subject. Surprising. But the biggest concern that I have is a case called People versus Garcia, which I do not have a Pacific site. I have a Westlaw site. It's 2022 Westlaw 178-39866. And here's the concern that I have. It talks about how, first of all, it sort of backtracks a little bit from what Judge Kennedy's concurrence was in the Riggins case, because it actually refers to Riggins and says, and Judge Kennedy's language, and it says, in support of the proposition that a defendant's right to confront witnesses also includes the right to have the jury observe the defendant's demeanor, the division cited only Justice Kennedy's concurring opinion. Then it goes on to say the accuracy of this proposition is debatable, and it goes on to say some other things. What is absolutely 100% crystal clear is that the prosecution, and I know we haven't gotten there, so I don't mean this in a disparaging way, I'm just saying this for purposes of analysis. The prosecution at closing argument would not be able to say, did you see the defendant acting the way that I saw? Did you see what I saw? You can't do that because that puts you in a position of attestation for the defendant's actions, which is improper. And these cases, especially Garcia, says that. The other cases, I think it's the Boykins case, People versus Walters, 148 Pacific 3rd, 331 Colorado Appellate 2006, indicates that it is okay to comment on the defendant's actions at counsel table, but that was in a situation where the defendant testified. And the biggest concern that I have in all of this and the way that it is phrased is that commenting on the defendant's actions at counsel table, depending on the circumstances, may run afoul of commenting on the defendant's right to remain silent. Because if you say anything about what she's done or anything like that, and she's not taken the witness stand, you can't do that because her credibility here isn't at issue, but it is up there. But she hasn't taken the stand up there. And you clearly can't comment on her right to remain silent. And of course, we're not there. Don't know whether we ever will be, whether she will testify or not. But obviously, if she doesn't, there's real concerns that any instruction may run afoul of some constitutional rights. So I think I'm just not going to answer that question. I'm just not going to. What's your position?
That is our position, Your Honor, for that very reason. I think it's just going to add more to that fact if you answer the question and we just leave it alone.
Yeah, I'm just not going
to
give him an answer at all. Mr. Tillington.
That was my preference. I mean,
all right.
Letecia is chugging water
Okay.
like it's going out of style.
Demeanor in closing, then I probably object.
Right. And obviously, it makes, I think the prosecution, if she testifies, obviously they can comment on demeanor on the witness stand. It's also proper for either side to comment on demeanor as contained in a videotape, which I'm sure we're going to see at some point in time. And so it's proper to comment on that, but I sure don't want the jury to get confused between commenting on the demeanor in a videotape or on the witness stand and what a juror may be observing otherwise. So I'm just not going to answer the question, and we'll leave it at that.
That's good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Court will be in recess then.
I've never seen someone drink quite that much water all at one time. I'm not going to speculate, but I think she wants to have to go to the bathroom before she gets taken back to the jail cell. And I don't know. That's a speculation, I know. Hot mic still. Last chance for water for the weekend. She doesn't have to dip out of a bowl by hand. Yeah, the bottled water, free bottled water, have all you want. She did put a pen in her pocket, and now she needs to use the restroom, possibly before she gets searched. I don't know if she's going to try to conceal the pen any further. I don't know. We shouldn't even go there. Okay, crazy stuff. Yes, I do want to talk to the last witness. We're going to see if we can actually make that happen if she's been released. It would be inappropriate to talk to her at all, or if she has not been released. So we've got to figure that out, as well as curious as well. We'll take a look at that. All right, it's late in the day. It's 7. We've got a podcast that starts at 8. So we're gonna do a quick wrap up here. There's a lot to cover. A lot of things have happened. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start. The last witness was incredible. The police would tell you in a heartbeat, don't do this. And at the same time, the prosecution seemed to love everything that she did. And did that. I did go there. I'm sorry. Please forget I said that. I went there, but you guys were thinking the same thing, right? You were thinking the same thing that I was thinking. Hopefully they catch that she grabbed a pen. She's doing the contraband challenge, maybe. I don't know. Murdaugh didn't work very well for him. He tried to grab pens as well, but the bailiffs were on it and grabbed them from him before he even got in cuffs. Let's do this. We've got a podcast tonight. I've still got some more prep to do. Weather Watch, hope you're out there. We need to talk. Podcast starts on this channel at 8 o'clock. To all those who were here today, thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, thanks for lurking. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks to all the new members today. It's wonderful to have new people here. Hope you enjoy it here. We love that you're here. This is a fun place to watch true crime. I think it's the best place on the internet because of the amazing people you get to watch with. You guys are wonderful. I've loved watching things today with you. Let's see, what else? I don't know. I think there were a couple questions that we'll probably have to get to on Monday. It's going to be a heavy day on Monday. We're going to have autopsy photos. We're going to have a lot of autopsy photo descriptions. Just be aware of that. If this is something that you think probably won't be helpful or healthy for you, I can understand if you take a pass on Monday. We won't feel bad at all. That applies to mods, everybody. If you can't be here, I would completely understand. Meanwhile, nobody gets a pass. You all have to be here for the podcast. Starts in an hour. Please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. We're going to be here on the same channel. A little lighthearted, much more lighthearted than testimony today. And it should be fun. About an hour. You'll want to be there for sure. I think that's it. I appreciate everyone who hit the like button, either as they came in or on the way out. That does do wonders for the channel. Very much appreciated. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone to make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again, which in this case will be the podcast that starts in an hour. Thank you so much, everybody. I need to get all this sorted out so we're ready for the podcast. A tiny bit of work to do there. And I think I just have to hit this button right here. We'll see you guys later. Bye.